And the purpose of this non-governmental committee is to make recommendations to the federal government to make government more efficient. And I think mainly it is to cut cost. The goal is to identify waste and other cost savings, because without that, we are headed towards a debt crisis. We'll talk about the anatomy of the debt crisis, but basically, we have been spending an unbelievable amount of money since the pandemic. The amount of debt doubled in the past 4 years. We have taken on as much debt in the past 4 years since the pandemic that we did in every year leading up to that point. So the debt is bigger than ever before. It's at $36 trillion. It has grown rapidly. The deficits are in the trillions every year. And worse, the interest to service that debt has become a problem because interest rates have gone up. We had near zero interest rates for about 20 years, roughly since around the housing bust in 2006. Interest rates have been nearly zero and effectively a non-factor. And so it was negligible to service the debt. But every dollar that goes into the debt, we do have to pay interest on. And now that we have an inflation problem, owing largely to the quantitative easing, the money printing, but also the supply chain issues, the war in Ukraine, as well as the deficits, because of all of these terrible economic and monetary policies, we have high inflation, raise the interest rate to slow the velocity of money and bring that down. But now it costs $700 billion per year to service the debt with the higher interest rate. So we're getting destroyed. Anyway, we'll get into this a little bit, but it's a big problem. So Doge comes in with Elon and Vivek to identify cost savings to get this under control. Well, today they put out a statement and they said they're not going to touch entitlements. They're not going to touch Social Security and Medicare. And, you know, here's the point, and we're going to get into this tonight. We're going to get into the details. We were told about this election that it was the most important election ever. And not only were we told it was the most important, but they said that if Trump won, it might actually be different this time. Remember, people were not saying, they weren't being honest. They weren't saying, well, he'll be better than her. They weren't saying that. If you pushed them, they would admit that. If you forced the Trump supporters to defend the position, eventually they would admit that, yes, this is actually not very important and Trump will be marginally better than Harris. But that is not what they were saying. What they were saying is it is going to be revolutionary change and it will be different and it will be magical and everything. And I got a news flash for you. If they're not touching entitlements, if they can't get their people confirmed in the Senate, nothing's going to change. If they're unwilling to touch Social Security and Medicare, how are you going to get the debt down? And if you can't get the debt down, how are you going to solve the debt crisis? And if you can't even do the easy things like fiscal policy, how are you going to do the hard things? If you can't even get your appointments through the Senate, how are you going to get an immigration bill through the Senate? It's not going to happen. So we're going to get into that as well. We'll talk about Doge. Big letdown. Oh, we're going to cut all the money, but we're not going to touch Social Security. Okay, so what are you going to cut? Department of Education? They get no money. What are you going to cut? That's all you can cut. There's like a few things you can cut. You can cut military and entitlements. That's most of the spending. You know? And I debated this with Dean Withers when I was on Aiden Ross. He didn't even have the facts straight. He said, we paid more on interest than we did on entitlements. No, we didn't. Entitlements are the problem. So if you're not talking about cutting that in military, what are we talking about? We're not talking about revolutionary change, that's for sure. So we're going to get into all that. Should be a pretty exciting show, kind of a slow day. But we're going to make the best of it. Before we get into the news, I want to remind you to smash the follow button on Rumble, smash the like button, leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think about the show. There was another big story today that healthcare executive got assassinated in New York. That was unbelievable. kind of scary because that looked like a professional job. I'm sure you all saw. But today in Manhattan, in New York City, the CEO of one of the largest insurance providers, largest health insurance providers, was literally assassinated by a hitman outside his hotel. The guy was a pro. Walked up, black hood, black mask, knew exactly when the guy was leaving and what door, showed up 10 minutes prior and just shot the guy in the back with a suppressed pistol and then ran away. Very mysterious, and people are wondering why, what happened. Some people said, and this is the only interesting angle, I mean, we don't know what happened. We have no idea. Some people said, is it, apparently this firm is under investigation by the DOJ for some reason. He was apparently in town to give a talk to investors. So some people are saying it's related to that. Some people are saying it was a disgruntled insurance holder who was denied coverage or something. And they just pissed off an assassin who killed the guy. And that seems unlikely, but, you know, there's all kinds of theories. I'm not going to cover it tonight because we really don't know, so all we could do is speculate. It's clearly, or at least it seems, I don't know, I'm not a military guy, but it looked like a professional job. Some people are debating whether, because you can see in the video he had the way he was firing the gun was strange. Some people say he was catching the shell casings. Some people were saying that he had to manually cock the gun because it was suppressed. Some people were saying the gun was jamming. So we don't really even know what happened there. According to the New York Times, according to the experts, the gun was jamming. He had to unjam the gun. I don't know. I'm not a firearms expert by any stretch, but that's what they're saying. I don't know. The only thing I want to comment on, though, is this. You know what was really disgusting and what I really hated? So health insurance, obviously, is a racket. It's a big scam for a lot of different reasons. The whole system's kind of ridiculous. There's the government's involved, and so the insurance companies have to make everything expensive because, you know, government's paying for it. I don't even really know. I've only started paying for my own health care this year. Not my expertise. But we all know, I'll give you an example. You go to the hospital. I've heard about this. You go to the hospital, they give you an Advil. They'll charge your insurance $5,000. They'll give you a bill for $5,000. But if you go and say, oh, no, I don't have insurance or I'm paying out of pocket, they'll say, oh, it's like $20 then. So because government is such a big buyer in the insurance market, you have these weird price distortions. And ever since you have Obamacare, everybody has to pay into the system. And, you know, we all know that the healthy people are paying for the sick people. So it's one of these things where you really don't have anything resembling a real market because you have so much government and because it's so, you know, it's really a unique industry. But you have all these pieces of shit leftists that are saying, oh, well, hey, I guess he just got denied coverage. Oh, well, you know, they're like gloating and being smug and laughing about this guy who got shot in the back because he runs a health insurance company, as if the CEO of a health insurance company designed the system. He didn't invent Medicare. He didn't invent health insurance. He's not the reason why we don't have a single payer system or something. You know, but I see all these pieces. And actually, it wasn't even leftists. It was populists. It was even a lot of MAGA people that were like gloating and saying, oh, a health insurance guy got killed. Oh, that's funny. And it's like, no, it's not funny. That's actually evil and criminal. And we can't have a country if people are getting shot at all the time. I don't think the president should be shot at. I don't think CEOs should be shot at. I don't think anybody should be shot at. We have courts. So I see all these people talk about spiritual leftism. I know that term is doing a lot of heavy lifting lately, and I don't really care for that. But talk about spiritual leftism. You have all these populists, a lot of them MAGA, saying, oh, yeah, well, he got what he deserved. It's like he didn't make healthcare this way. And yeah, maybe he's not blameless, but that is such a poor coded, that is such an impoverished coded way of looking at the world. I hate that. I hate all the anti-rich, anti-landlord, anti-business talk. And I don't even like business. I mean, I'm not even, don't get me wrong. I am not by any stretch am I a defender of the capitalist class. I'm the biggest critic of the capitalist class. But like so much of it is just pure poor people seething. That's all it is. It's just pure distilled, isolated, 99% purity resentment from poor people. They don't even know. They don't know anything about healthcare. They don't know anything about the system. They just see a rich guy get killed in an industry that's unpopular, and they go, oh, I guess they had it coming. And I hate that so much. So that's the only thing I wanted to comment on, because we don't really even know what happened. I could speculate, but who really knows? I mean, maybe it was mafia. Maybe it was a cover-up. Who knows? I mean, it's such a strange thing. Clearly, whoever killed this guy wanted to send a message because they did it so publicly, so brazen. But I don't care for all this. You know, and poor people, they act like they're so tough, you know. It's like some other guy shot some other person you don't know, and people think that they're projecting this image of toughness when they say, oh, man, yeah, well, that was a good thing. It's like you're scrolling your phone in bed, and you're proud that some person got murdered in cold blood for some reason you don't even understand. Anyway, so I don't want to get into that whole thing, but I did just want to throw that out there. I'm really getting sick of populism. I'm just getting sick of it. I've had enough. I've had enough of populism. It's gone too far. Now you have people that are just plain ignorant and resentful. Populism started out, you could argue, 8 years ago as righteous indignation, and it was true. The system really did have major blind spots. It still does. You know, 10 years ago, there were these major blind spots. The system was so arrogant and filled with hubris, and as a consequence was making mistakes. And so when all the people rallied against it, there were actually a lot of high-quality people in the opposition, like intelligent people, people that legitimately slipped through the cracks because of affirmative action or DEI or whatever, HR type stuff. And so you could argue that there was actually legitimate anger and legitimate dissent, and a lot of it was being articulated in a way that was cogent and intelligent and based on facts and so on. And now I feel like the populist movement is completely devolved, and it is now appealing only to the lowest common denominator. It's completely irrational. It's things that don't even make sense. It is based largely on the passions of the crowd. For example, RFK Jr. I think RFK Jr. is terrible. I agree with Keith Woods on this. I don't like him at all. He is basically an Israeli spy. They clearly have blackmail on him. He's rolling with Rabbi Shmuley. He's defending the Chabad Lubavitchers. He's out there promoting anti-vaccine stuff. And I'm not a scientist, but I don't know if I'm against every vaccine. They are doing a lot of unethical things. I've seen some of the reports on him. And to me, that guy just represents a crank. And I think that, you know, he represents a lot of that kind of stuff, but people are willing to believe in it because it just represents anti-establishment politics for its own sake.
Hey, what are you doing?
And again, it's just, it seems like now it's just a big contest to see who can be the most ignorant and who could be the most backwards. You have people drinking raw milk. Pasteurizing the milk was a step forward in human progress. I think that exposing yourself unnecessarily to diseases, to listeria, I think that's a step backwards. People eating raw meat and drinking raw milk, it's like they're going back to before the invention of fire. And it's like a contest. What's next? We're raw eggs, raw meat, raw milk. You know. People don't believe in outer space. They think the earth is flat. People don't believe in anything. And it's just people believe in things that don't even make sense. They believe in QAnon. They think that Donald Trump has always been the president, that his uncle discovered time travel from Nikola Tesla's papers, and that, like, you know, all these Democrat politicians were executed a long time ago in, like, Guantanamo Bay. And they believe in, that they hear a sound outside and they think that there's, like, military bases being built underground. I mean, maybe that one's real. But you're just getting all this kind of stuff. It's like, well, Russia's in the World Economic Forum. They're orchestrating all the wars. People believe in aliens. And it's like, okay, so now it's getting a little too kooky for me. I was willing to go as far as to say maybe black people are failing not because of the lack of resources, but there's something innate. I'm willing to say, yeah, America becoming a non-white country, not a good idea. I was willing to say, hey, Jews don't practice the same religion as Christians. Their country influences ours. They've been involved in a lot of the covert actions over the past century, having the most sophisticated intelligence agency. I think that tracks. But when you start to go into this other stuff, it's like, yeah, you kind of lose me. So in general, I feel like populism seems to no longer be a vehicle for legitimate, well-founded dissent against the system. It was at one point. I don't feel like that anymore. And worse, and we're going to get into this tonight, well, maybe, but worse, not only is populism no longer an adequate vehicle for well-founded dissent or criticism of the system, but it's also being led astray by Pied Pipers, and I think that's intentional. This is a very important point. I think that clearly some of the more sophisticated oligarchs realized that a large portion of the country, 70, 80 million people that voted for or support Trump, the people that watch Joe Rogan, the people that believe in conspiracies, I think, again, some of the more sophisticated elites, maybe they realized that they could harness that resentment and that dissent, that they, if they could wield it, if they could lead it, could empower themselves. And I think Elon Musk and Peter Thiel are two perfect examples of that. Donald Trump, I think, is being used, in a sense, for that purpose. And so in 2016, I feel like there was something organic. There was anger. I think Trump served as a lightning rod, and it was reciprocal. I think that he was feeding off of it. And certainly there were some weird elements then too, but it definitely seemed more organic. Maybe that was an illusion. At this point, very clearly the lack of trust in the institutions is being taken advantage of. And in that sense, has truly become a form of demagoguery. I know that sounds really cringe, but I think it has kind of gone too far in the other direction. And I think the institutions realize that, and they're panicking. That now, again, some opportunistic, sophisticated oligarchs have realized that that a vacuum has opened up. The loss of legitimacy of the institutions has created an opportunity, and that is what has propelled these people like Vivek and Trump and Elon and Peter Thiel and J.D. Vance, and they know, and they're, I think, very deft and methodical about it. They know which levers to pull. They know which buttons to press. They know how to get the crowd on their side. And I think now, you do have this, like, these rabble-rousers, this populist base. And again, like I said, not only are they not any longer really articulating a sensible alternative, but they're actually being used. They've actually become the wrecking ball of an ascendant new class of oligarchs that came from technology. It's these Silicon Valley, little tech, venture capitalist disruptors, the Mark Andreessens, the Horowitzes, the Elon Musks, Peter Thiels. It's these types that are now wielding the popular resentment as a wrecking ball to kind of shake the tree a little bit, not to mix metaphors, but I think they're trying to create a little instability so that they can accumulate more power. And that's very clearly what's happening when you see how the message has been manipulated. I've been pointing this out over the past week. Clearly there is, and for a long time actually, but especially past couple shows, there is an effort underway to blue pill the right wing, and it goes hand in glove with what I'm talking about right now. There was a time when there was genuine radicalism growing in the populist right, in the Breitbart comment section, with the alt-right, on Gab, on these alternative sites, on 4chan, on Twitter. There was an organic and genuine radicalism that was spreading, and the population was sliding down that slippery slope. And then I think they realized it. They cut it off. They cut it off at the knees. And then they realized it could be useful, and they started redirecting it into something else. And that's why now Trumpism is about bringing in legal immigrants and just keeping out the violent, illegal criminals. And that's why it's no longer about ending all the wars. Now they're talking about keeping the base in Bagram. And now they're talking about we're going to go to war in Iran and all these other things. And it's like, okay, so the message has actually changed considerably. Anyway. So I've really become skeptical of it, and I think we really need to lean into an elite strategy. I think that, last thing I'll say, there is a populist delusion, and it affects people in a way that you might not realize. People are developing this mental model where they think that we're going to change the country when we use social media to convince a majority of the population to agree with us. And then a candidate rises up, and the majority that agrees with us votes for that candidate, and they win the election, and then they change the government. And I think that mindset is holding us back, because we actually have to dissect the population and realize it's stratified. We're not targeting the vast majority of Americans because most Americans are non-white. We're not targeting the vast majority of Americans because half of them are women. We're not targeting the vast majority of Americans because a lot of them are old and their brains are literally fossilized and they'll never be radicals. Who we are targeting, who is our target audience, it's actually probably very young white men. It's arguably just young men, maybe mostly young white men, but it's like an under 30-year-old, under 30, 35-year-old crowd. If you're older than that, it's fine. But mainly we're targeting an under 30, under 35 crowd of men, mostly white men and high IQ men. Okay, men that are high performers, men that probably would go to highly selective colleges. That's really our primary target audience at this stage in the game. And that's not even close to half the country. It's a very small part of the population. And the hope is that if those people become powerful, if 1,000 of them become millionaires, or 10 of them become 100 millionaires, or one of them becomes a billionaire, then we can make plays, then we can have an effect on society. And I think that's really the only way things are going to change. But something that's implicit in the populist delusion is the idea that we're going to get all the people on our side, which means we need a kind of idea that appeals to the lowest common denominator and the most types of people, and we gotta dumb it down, and we gotta get it out to all of them, and we have to have broad agreement, and then we're gonna win an election, and that's just not how it's gonna happen. So we kind of need, and you know, it's a totally different situation depending on which approach you take. So anyway. So that's kind of my read on the whole deal. But I do want to move on. One other thing before we get into our news tonight. I don't want to spend too much time on it, but I do just want to add on another thing. You know, we've been having this big debate for the past couple weeks about wife jack, about feminism, all that kind of stuff. And it just keeps getting better and better. I told you I destroyed wife jack over the weekend. Initially, everybody was against me. You know, when I started to oppose the wife jack meme and the wife guy thing and all this stuff, of course, because lately this is how it goes. Everybody's on my case. I'm only saying that because I'm unmarried. Oh, you're saying that because you're an incel. You're saying that because you're not even attracted to women. You're saying that because whatever. And I was attacked brutally for weeks. Everybody was on my case. Oh, you're a fake trad. You're a fake Christian. You don't promote family values. But as time has gone on, we have just seen one example after another of what wife jack and wife guys really are. And I really want to drive the point home and beat the horse to death here. I want to beat the dead horse. On Monday, I gave you an example that one of the trad girls, one of the trad wives, on the one hand, she was in my replies attacking me. Then we found a tweet from 2 years ago where she's talking about her rape fantasies. Yesterday, we covered a tweet with J.D. Vance, maybe the archetypal wife guy, and we showed his Thanksgiving where he had 24 Indians from India present. And then today, just when you thought it couldn't get any worse, just when you thought it doesn't get any better when you look at the wife guys and the people that are enjoying the wife jack meme, I saw one of these life coach douchebags tags me on Twitter with this essay, super long post, which is really not fair because they won't even let me get verified, so I have the normal character limit still. They won't even let me subscribe. They won't even let me buy it. So he posts this huge long thing, and he says, you have low testosterone. One of my clips went super viral. It got millions of views. He was replying to it. He said, this guy's talking about testosterone. He has no testosterone. Of course you could have a family. I'm 40 years old. I'm in great shape. I've never been more high T, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Well, I go through his timeline. It takes me about 5 seconds to find the thread where he tells his whole life story. And I go through it and come to find out he's on his second marriage and he has 2 adopted black kids. Okay? So this is your wife guy. When I do a show and I say, hey guys, don't shoot the messenger. Think whatever you want about me. You can think whatever you think I'm aroused by, whatever you think my life plan is, whatever you think, if I'm a hypocrite or not, it really doesn't matter. I said, here's the facts. When you get married, your testosterone drops more than it would if you didn't. We all lose testosterone as we grow older, but for married men, it falls off a cliff. And for married men with children under 1 year old, it really collapses. I said, so that's just a fact. You don't have to like me. You don't have to like the way I'm saying it, but that's just true. I said, and I am a person who wants to resist that. I think that it's important for us to be masculine and still be risk takers and still be the boss of the house, even though we have a wife and kids. Clearly, there is a hormone problem. It's a mystery. Every generation has significantly less testosterone than the previous one. Some people think it's chemical. Some people think it's microplastics. Some people think there's a lot of different theories. But it is a problem. And this is why men are more effeminate and less confrontational, and this is why we have a lot of problems. And I said, I think we should get married, but we have to be cognizant of the problem. We have to be conscientious. How do we get married and have kids in a society that is changing, where the laws are against us, where feminism seems to be ubiquitous, where chemically we're under attack? And the guy goes, oh my gosh, you have no testosterone, blah, blah, blah. And like I said, it took me all of 5 seconds to go through his life story and find out this guy had a failed marriage, got remarried in his 30s, and then adopted 2 black kids. And, look, if that is a traditional life to you, then hey, congratulations. Enjoy the 2 little niggas singing them wheels on the bus go round and round, man. Hey, man, them wheels is going round and round and shit. If that's your dream, if your dream is to get married for a second time in your late 30s to a woman who probably also was married and is probably ran through, and if you want to marry her and deal with all that baggage, and then you also want to adopt a couple of niggas, and if you all want to get in the car and drive to Universal Studios and sing them wheels on that bus going round and round, and if you fantasize about that and you post a Wojak and say, I wish that was me, this is all I ever wanted, hey, knock yourself out. But I think most people, when they think about a trad, Chad, Wojak, defender of the sword and the nation, I don't think that's the image they have in mind. As a matter of fact, somebody said it was anti-family to even suggest that happens. Ray, one of our clippers, posted a Wojak of the wife guy and the wife jack, and the kids are all black. And they're all tired, and I, hypocrite, quote tweeted the meme and said, this is anti-family. How could you suggest this? Excuse me, that's the reality. That's the reality for a lot of people. It's just true. So I replied to the post. The guy writes an essay and says, you have no testosterone. I have a family. And I just posted a link to his tweet with them 2 little niggas. And I said, hey, man, this is beyond parody. Here you are, the defender of traditional masculinity. You're on your second marriage. Your first one crashed out. And you have 2 kids that aren't even biologically from your own balls. So you're the expert on testosterone. You're He set himself up. He said, I'm aspirational. I'm the example. Any guy can do it. I'm like, okay, well, does any guy want that actually? Because I think if you sat down and took a poll, I think most young men would want biological children from their first wife, not all the rest. And then get this. So it's like, hello, this is your wife guy. Your wife guy literally has 2 black adopted kids. Like you couldn't make a parody of this. You could not make a parody of this. That's why I said it's beyond parody. And then people start attacking me. They say now I'm not a real Christian. I violated the 11th commandment. Thou shalt adopt niggas. Thou shalt adopt black kids from Africa and raise them as your own with your second wife. What? Now I'm getting attacked. Now you have all these Catholics who, you know, these people, it's like, what do they do other than attack me? I'm sorry, are they converting anybody? You have all these Catholics, all they do is tone police me and attack me disingenuously, say that my faith is fake, call into question my sincerity, and sit around and wait for me to say something like this, and then they can be all sanctimonious and say, that's not Catholic. We're supposed to adopt. It's like, yeah, but is it, I don't know, is that really the image of a Catholic family? I think Catholics are supposed to get married young and have lots of biological kids, and then if they have the means, yeah, I think adopting is a charitable thing to do, but clearly people adopt kids who are black for different reasons. I think people that adopt black kids late in life who have other problems and then go and post about it on social media, I think that's something else actually, but that's really besides the point. Now everybody's jumping down my throat and saying, you're anti-family. And you know what? I just don't even recognize this space anymore. I just feel like this country is unrecognizable. I feel like the country is completely unrecognizable. This is not the movement that I founded. This is not the scene that I joined up with in 2016. I mean, take a look around you. It's like I said yesterday, you have J.D. Vance at Thanksgiving dinner with 24, and we counted them. You watched me do it. He was at Thanksgiving dinner with 24 Indians. His wife is an Indian. His children are Indian. They have Indian names. You have a life coach. It's not even a real job. You have like a grifter course salesman talking about a second marriage and his triathlon and his 2 black kids online. And if anybody has anything bad to say about that, you're the asshole. You have this whole subversion going on with Bronze Age pervert. His whole crew are all Jews. They've all been exposed. Their connections to the CIA and the Israel lobby. They all love Israel. If you point that out, you're the asshole. I'm like, what's going on? What happened? 8 years ago, this stuff would have been obvious. Now we're in the front lines arguing that it's actually cucked to have 2 adopted black kids. We're in the trenches arguing that you shouldn't be simping for your wife. We're in the trenches arguing that we shouldn't be marrying Indians and being at an all-Indian Thanksgiving and all the rest. So I'm pretty black-pilled. We really got to step it up. This is my game plan for the next 4 years, is we really need to step up the information war, because here's the problem. Most people are not going to watch this stream because it's super high IQ. You have to obviously be super intelligent to understand what I'm saying. And it's long, and it's a slog, and it's every day. We really need to make digestible, readable, citable content like articles and short videos with graphics for dummies so that they can watch and follow along. Because I have a feeling that most of my audience isn't even getting it. You know, so many people in the audience were still voting for Trump, and they don't even really understand what's going on with Vance. They don't even really understand what Palantir is still. So that's kind of my plan, because it's just crazy. I'm on Twitter today fighting for my life because this guy's putting me on blast for saying, yeah, isn't it a little ridiculous that the wife guy is giving me a hard time and he's got 2 adopted black kids? Isn't that a little bit crazy? So anyway, so that's the latest on Wife Jack. Hopefully that's the last word on it. I know it won't be, because I Hypocrite still wants to smoke. I Hypocrite still wants to debate about it, so I think we'll have to do that at some point. So anyway, so maybe that won't even be the last word on it, but we're going to move on. We're going to get into our news here. I don't even know if we'll have time to get to everything now, but we're going to move on. We're going to take a look, and we'll see what we got here. So the big story tonight is actually about the Hegseth nomination. I think we'll cover that first. That's the bigger story. And, you know, we've been covering all these different appointments that Trump is making. We're in the period between the election and the inauguration, and Trump is filling out his cabinet. He's basically selected for every position, and it's exactly what we expected. There's really no surprises. He's bringing in a lot of people from Florida, and that's because his chief of staff for the past 2 years, and the chief of staff for the White House is Susie Wiles. Her operation is based in Florida. It's also a lot of pro-Israel donors, a lot of pro-Israel politicians in Florida, because that is one of the hubs of American Jewry. They're all warmongers. They're all neocons. They're all super Zionist, super pro-Israel, favor of intervention against Iran, all that kind of stuff. They're all Republican establishment hacks. I mean, there's really not one rabble-rouser, not one independent person among them. Again, no surprises. And among them is the Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth. The guy really has no prior government experience. People know him from Fox News. He used to host Fox and Friends. And he was appointed to one of the most important, highest-level cabinet positions. Secretary of Defense is like arguably top 2, top 3. He's like in charge of the Pentagon. He's in charge of the military. And it's a super weird choice. And it's not a good one. He's a neocon. He ran a couple of nonprofits, both funded by pro-Israel Jewish donors. Big defender of the war in Iraq. And he's a dispensationalist evangelical Christian. He believes in all these end times prophecies about Israel, has a religious worship for Israel, the current state of Israel. Not a good appointment, okay? And we laid this out a couple weeks ago. I think it was not last week, but the week before that. We really went in deep on his record. Now, regardless of what you think about Hegseth, and like I said, I'm not a fan. He's not a good appointment. This is not good. Regardless of what you think about him, it is instructive to watch what is happening to him right now. He was nominated by Trump, nominated for Secretary of Defense. Super important job. Again, I'll remind you, Trump won an electoral college landslide, won the popular vote, won the majority of the votes. Every county in the country shifted red. Every single one, not one shifted blue. Hasn't happened in 100 years. And when you win an election that big, when you win an election by that much, you get a popular mandate. That means that the people sent you to Washington to do a job. That is what the victory means. They chose you strongly, and your mandate means now you are on a mission. You have a job. You have a legitimate mission to go in there and do what the people put you to do in Washington. Trump carried the Senate, carried the House. The Republicans control every part of the government, House, Senate, White House, Supreme Court. Trump nominates his Secretary of Defense. Again, super important cabinet position. This is who he says. The logic should be, you win the election, you get your cabinet. You win the popular vote. You win the landslide. You flip every county or make every county go red. It's deep red. You carry the Senate. You carry the House. The logic is you get the cabinet you want. You get your Secretary of Defense. You get your Secretary of the Treasury. You get what you want. Elections have consequences. You win the election. It's a winner-take-all system. You win the government. And then those are your personnel. They implement your policies. That's what it means to be a democracy, right? I'm not a fan that we're in one, but that's how it's supposed to work. Well, that is how it should work. What actually happens, however, though, is Trump picks his Secretary of Defense, and there's a huge media scandal from the liberal media. Liberal media, New York Times, CNN, they say, not so fast. Your nominee for Secretary of Defense is a rapist, sexual abuser, doesn't have enough experience, blah, blah, blah. He's no good. Now, that shouldn't matter, right? Because the election of Trump was not only a rebuke of the Democrats, but it's also a rebuke of the media, which opposed him. We're supposed to be under the impression that the spell has been broken. The mainstream media no longer has credibility or legitimacy. People don't believe them. They were 95% anti-Trump in the cycle. And if the people overwhelmingly chose Trump, well, what they say shouldn't really matter. They're corrupt and they're biased and they're not aligned with the people anyway. Well, the media says all this, and the Republicans in the Senate believe it. Or so they say. Republicans in the Senate, again, who owe their seats and owe their majority to Trump, they're now saying they won't vote for Trump's selection because of the claims that the liberal media is making about him. And now, according to the betting markets, he has less than a 20% chance of ultimately being confirmed. And Trump is considering other options. He'll have to pick maybe Joni Ernst or Ron DeSantis or Mike Waltz. He's going to have to tap somebody else because Pete Hegseth will not survive confirmation in a Republican Senate because of what the liberal media said after the Republicans won a landslide election. And this is a story from the New York Times. It says, quote, Pete Hegseth launched a public campaign on Wednesday to shore up faltering support for his selection as defense secretary, saying in a high-profile interview that President Trump told him, "I got your back, it's a fight. They're coming after you." But even as Mr. Hegseth insisted that Mr. Trump was urging him to fight, the president-elect appeared to be having serious conversations about picking Ron DeSantis. Mr. Trump told people close to him that he likes the idea of giving Mr. DeSantis the job, saying it would be a big story if he resurrected Mr. DeSantis after defeating him. The president-elect also praised DeSantis' ability to run the state of Florida and has mentioned that he is a Navy guy. Mr. Trump has privately mentioned Michael Waltz, the Florida congressman he picked as his national security advisor, as another option, pointing out that he would be easily confirmed by the Senate. But people close to Mr. Trump believe that DeSantis is his favorite alternative if he decides to abandon Hegseth. Speaking with Megyn Kelly, Hegseth dismissed allegations of rape, sexual assault, financial mismanagement, and drunken behavior as a fiction created by Trump's enemies. He compared it to accusations against Brett Kavanaugh during the Supreme Court hearings. Penelope Hegseth said in the email that her son belittles, lies, cheats, sleeps around, told an interviewer that she regretted sending the email and that Hegseth was no longer the person she lashed out at in 2018. The most anticipated meeting of the day for Hegseth was with Senator Joni Ernst. She is a sexual assault survivor herself. She emerged from her closed-door meeting with Hegseth this afternoon and told reporters they had a frank and thorough conversation. Allies for Mr. Trump said that if Hegseth left the meeting with an endorsement from Ernst, it could have bolstered support for the beleaguered pick. They also said if Ms. Ernst refused to back him, it could doom a candidacy that Republicans believe is all but dead. Before the meeting, she told reporters she needed to have a very thorough discussion, but no endorsement emerged. Senators Kevin Cramer and Lindsey Graham, who are both Trump loyalists, called the allegations disturbing, but they said that he has a chance to tell his side of the story. Mr. Trump made clear to people close to him he believes Mr. Hegseth should have been more forthcoming about his problems. Hegseth could become the third Trump pick to step aside after Matt Gaetz withdrew his name for Attorney General and Sheriff Chad Chronister pulled out of consideration to lead the DEA. In the past 2 weeks, Hegseth has been the subject of damaging reports. It was revealed he entered into a settlement agreement with a woman who accused him of rape. In 2017, he insisted it was consensual. And Mr. Trump told aides at the time he wanted to stick with Hegseth, but the troublesome headlines only grew worse. The New York Times reported on an email his mother wrote in 2018 as he was going through an acrimonious divorce in which she said her son had abused a number of women. Hegseth was also the subject of a damning article in The New Yorker, which reported he had been forced out as the head of 2 veterans groups because of his behavior. So, again, here's the problem. Problem number 1. Why was this person not properly vetted? Because there's a few people that you can blame. And we could talk about a structural problem, and we'll get to that. It's what I've been outlining so far. But let's just start with the obvious. Donald Trump has been running for president, technically, for 2 years. 2 years. That's when he announced after the midterms in November 2022 in Mar-a-Lago. And he knew for 2 years prior to that he would be running for re-election. He knew since November 2020 that he would most likely be running for re-election. So realistically, you had 4 years. He was in the White House for 4 years, and then he was outside the White House for 4 years. He had all that time to find names and to vet people. Wasn't this the whole problem in the first term? Wasn't that the excuse that Trump gave on Joe Rogan that was well known among Trump's personnel, which is that when he won the election, he was sort of blindsided and didn't have personnel to fill up the White House? And that's why it took so long to make an adjustment? And that's why Trump didn't accomplish everything he wanted to in the first term? Because he was caught off guard, didn't have the personnel, took time to find them and put them in the right place? Well, what's the excuse this time? Being the president, he knows everybody. And he had 4 years to put together a list and vet people. What's more, you actually had a personnel database. It was called Project 2025. And it was created specifically with this in mind, with this day in mind. It's called Project 2025 because the winner of the 2024 election would be inaugurated in 2025. And their cabinet would be confirmed in 2025. So they created a personnel database for the day when you need to fill up the cabinet. It was made for this purpose. And they did all that work. They found over 14,000 names, including cabinet level appointees. And they were vetted, sorted, categorized, ready to go. And Trump disavowed it a dozen times in favor of America First Policy Institute, which did not do that, in favor of Agenda 47, which didn't even have a white paper. It was the Republican Party platform, had a series of videos on it. And now he's picking people from Fox News that were clearly not vetted, that had all this baggage, which either they thought they could overcome and they were wrong, in which case that's a problem, or they didn't know about, which is worse. So this is one characterization of the Trump team. They are totally disorganized. They are completely incompetent. You have to ask yourself, how is this possible? This is an unbelievable opportunity. Trump should not have won the first time. People thought it was impossible he would win the second time. He narrowly missed being killed. And he wins this unbelievable mandate landslide election. And this is how it starts, with 3 failed appointments, 3 botched appointments. And you have to argue that at least one reason, certainly a contributing factor, is that they just didn't do the due diligence. They weren't prepared. How are you not prepared? Now, you can make that mistake the first time. I would even argue that's a little bit unacceptable. But the second time, you had 4 years to think about it. You got shot for this. You got impeached for this. You got indicted for this. It was this or life in prison or death. And you get caught off guard for Secretary of Defense. Did you not know you'd need one? And they picked this guy with all this baggage who now is a big problem. And it's the third one that they fumbled. It's been a month, less than a month since the election. And this is the third setback. It shouldn't be like this. They should have had people ready to go, sliding right in, a seamless transition, energetic, eager, loyal, ideologically aligned. It should have been done. There's no excuse. There is literally no excuse. But this is the incompetence and the mismanagement that you just, again, it's baked in. I told you this because I know people that worked in the previous administration. I know people that were involved in those discussions. And that's why, and Trump himself admitted it, that's why things were the way that they were. And I said throughout the election, it's going to be a problem. I said throughout the election, on his announcement, go back and watch my review of his announcement speech in November 22. I said, this speech is written by Jason Miller. It's all the same people, and they're horrible. I said that in August. I said they're running the campaign into the ground, and I was right about that. And now here we are. Here's the other angle that you can look at it. On the other hand, Trump did win the popular mandate. He did win the vote and everything. Why is his party not confirming his appointments? We have a 53 vote majority in the Senate and the vice president. The vice president acts as the president of the Senate. In the event of a tie, the vice president is the tiebreaker. So that means we realistically have 54 votes in the Senate. I don't remember the last time Republicans had a majority that big. I think in 2016 we had a majority by 1 or 2 votes. Arguably, it's a 53 plus 1 vote majority in the Senate. We have 6 defectors, and they include the outgoing and incoming majority leader of the Republicans in the Senate. Those are 2 out of the 6. So Trump wins the majority. Trump wins them their seat. Trump wins control of government and provides them with the vice president. They refuse obstinately to obey him and confirm his picks. Why? Why? The voters chose Trump. The voters chose you because of Trump. If they just got elected, they don't have to worry about re-election for 6 more years. Why won't they confirm his picks? But again, we knew this going in as well. This was the other problem in the first term. In the first term, for example, Trump tried to appropriate money from for a border wall. It was Congress that wouldn't bite. It was a Republican-controlled Congress that wouldn't go for it. Trump tried to do a lot of things, tried to repeal Obamacare. It was John McCain that sunk the repeal of Obamacare by one vote, even though he had campaigned on it for years. Isn't it funny? No matter how many votes we have in the majority, whether we have one house or two houses, with the White House included, it doesn't matter. Whether we lose the Obamacare vote by one, with a 51 vote majority, or we lose the confirmation of Matt Gaetz by 4 votes with a 53 vote majority, we're always going to lose with the exact margin that we need to lose. Because that's the will of the Republican Senate. And so this is the other problem, and this is the blueprint. Trump is disorganized and incompetent. He's going to make a lot of political mistakes. That's not good because the system is still against him. So he'll do things like nominate Pete Hegseth. Pete Hegseth will be attacked by the liberal media, the same liberal media that we were told is no longer a factor. Clearly, they still are. They're going to dig up everything. They're going to put him on blast, just like they did to Matt Gaetz. They're going to put him on blast. And then Republicans are going to use that, whether they believe it or not, they launder it through the liberal media. They're going to use that to implement their own agenda, which is different than the Trump agenda. And the 6 cuck senators in the Senate, Murkowski, Collins, Thune, McConnell, the new one from Utah, whose name I forget, they're all going to say, oh, well, we can't vote for him now because of what the New York Times wrote. That's the blueprint. And Trump will capitulate every time. Just like they withdrew Matt Gaetz from consideration, it's likely they'll withdraw Pete Hegseth from consideration. And in the meantime, so that's, by the way, that's the blueprint. So Trump is disorganized and makes tons of mistakes. Liberal media capitalizes on it, maximum pressure campaign. Republicans are really on the side of the liberal media, so then they backstab Trump like they do with the nominations, like they do with immigration, like they do with all, it's already happening with immigration. The media is panicking about mass deportations. Thankfully, Rand Paul, a Republican senator, is there to say, I don't support it either. That's just the beginning. The Republicans backstab the president in Congress, and then Trump, because he has no real allies, capitulates. That's the pattern. That's the blueprint. And every time that happens, it's a huge embarrassment. Every time it happens, Trump loses political capital. And every time we play this game, we're losing time and energy. Because we really, how many years do we really have? Trump gets inaugurated January 20th. Well, 1 year from January 20th is 2026, and there will be a midterm election. And you know that throughout that year, all anyone's going to say is, well, hey, we got to shore up our majority in Congress in the midterms. We can't rock the boat because the midterms are in 10 months. Okay, a year from Inauguration Day will be 10 months from the midterms. And they're going to say, if we want to implement the MAGA agenda, we need to keep our majority. If we want to keep our majority, we got to cuck out. We can't do anything too controversial. So from then until November, for basically a full year, they can't do anything crazy. So you really have 1 year. Then, undoubtedly, Trump is going to lose the House in the midterms. It's not a foregone conclusion, but it's probably true. The incumbent almost always loses seats in the House, and we're going to have a majority by like 5 votes, maybe 2. We're going to have a razor-thin majority in the House. If previous trends hold, we're probably going to lose seats in the midterms, which means we're probably going to lose the majority. Once you lose the majority in the House, now what happens? Gridlock. Now you've got a divided Congress. Now you've got gridlock. Now you're going to have Democrats stonewalling everything because that's exactly what happened in the first term. Democrats won the House, and then nothing was able to happen from 2019 on. So the new they're going to be a lame duck in the Congress. They won't do anything from November to January. The new Congress is seated January 2027. Democrats are going to be running it. And then throughout 27, the Democrats are going to be putting up heavy opposition, doing subpoenas, doing their usual stuff. If you think that's over, I'm sure it's not. And then in 2028, it's another election year. So realistically, we don't have as much time as you think. We have like 1 year to go nuts. Then you get the midterms. Then we might lose the midterms. Maybe we win them, but maybe we lose them. Then even if you win them, you get another year before yet another election. So at the most, you got 2 years. The minimum, you got 1 year. That's kind of the logic. And this is how they keep us on the wheel. Every year, they're telling us it's an election. And then the next year, they're saying, well, hey, it's not going to change overnight. And then the next year, well, it's an election. And then the year after that, well, hey, man, slow your roll. We'll get to it eventually. Then it's an election. I've seen it happen. I saw it happen in 16, 18, 20, 22, and now 24. I've seen it happen every single time. And I said that before. If you thought this was so important, if you thought this was going to be transformative, why would you think the rules no longer apply? The liberal media still has clout. Republicans are what they are. They're still establishment. They're not loyal to Trump. The Trump camp has not learned anything. They're still totally incompetent and disorganized. And this is how it starts. This is how it's starting off. If after 4 years they haven't gotten their act together, that this isn't seamless, they're not even really facing opposition. They literally had to pick names out of a hat to fill up the administration that everybody wanted to join. And all the names suck. And some of them are just catastrophic. And then their own party is refusing to confirm them. And why isn't Trump using the bully pulpit against them? Why can't Trump lean on these people? But again, it's like this is how it starts. It shows how little anybody has learned. The voters, the president, his camp, everybody, like, it's clearly, if this is how it starts, are we going to have to learn all over again? We barely did the first time. How long is it going to take now to get it right? I mean, 3 in a row.
AG, DEA, Secretary of Defense. And the next shoe to drop is going to be Tulsi and RFK. If they don't confirm Hegseth, they're not going to bow down on Tulsi and RFK. I don't think so. I don't think that's going to happen. They're not going to not appoint Hegseth, but then appoint Tulsi Gabbard, who visited Bashar al-Assad, Israel's sworn enemy. So, you know, well, we'll see what happens with Hegseth. Maybe it'll get confirmed. But either way, this is a disaster. This is already an unmitigated disaster. These are unforced errors. It should not be like this. There is no excuse that it is. Why didn't he pick a better guy? Why didn't he pick a guy with no baggage? What is the excuse for not picking guys that your Senate is going to confirm? Or why can't you get your Senate to confirm the people you pick? There's just no excuse for it. So for all those people that thought, no, it's going to be different, truly, it's going to be transformative, the Republican Senate, I hate to inform you, is still what it is. And the media still has a lot of clout. And Trump still hasn't figured it out. It's not good. So that's that. And I don't even like Pete Hegseth. I'm not cheering for him. But look, I mean, it's a series of bad options. Hegseth is bad. DeSantis is bad. Ernst is bad. Walz is bad. Anybody they're considering for this role is bad. So I don't care. But it just goes to show, if the president's will is being defied already, it's been a month since the election. The New York Times said this is his third setback. And Trump said, what setbacks? That's so bad. It is so bad that the media can credibly say you are getting defeated and routed, and it hasn't even been a month. And you're on True Social defending yourself, saying, what are you talking about? It's going great. No, it isn't. If it was going great, everybody'd be confirmed. You wouldn't have Matt Gaetz being appointed and called a pedophile and then withdrawing after a week in a weird way and doing cameos. You wouldn't have this. So that's that. I do want to move on. I want to get into our other story. Then we're going to read our super chats. Here we go again. So this story is about DOGE, Department of Government Efficiency. This is the proposed committee, non-governmental committee, which will be chaired by Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy. And the goal of DOGE is to make recommendations to the federal government about efficiency and cost savings. They can't work in the government, I think because Elon's an immigrant. But they're not even in government. All they can do is make recommendations. They're going to audit the government allegedly and make everything better. Okay, I mean, that's an interesting concept. I'm not totally against it, in theory. Well, today they come out and say, we're going to cut all the spending, but we're not going to touch entitlements. Elon Musk said at Mar-a-Lago this week that this is going to be the most transformative presidency in the history of America. He said, I'm going to be the right-wing George Soros. We need common sense. This is going to be everything you wanted and more. Well, now they're saying they won't even touch entitlements. This is a story. It's this quote. Vivek told Axios that it would be premature for his new efficiency commission to discuss cuts to Social Security, Medicare, or Medicaid. Those programs are by far the biggest lines in the federal budget, making them ripe targets for a commission with a mandate to slash spending. But cutting entitlements is the third rail of American politics. Ramaswamy said Wednesday that the Department of Government Efficiency will look for waste and fraud in those programs, including people receiving payments who shouldn't be. But wholesale cuts to entitlements is a policy decision that belongs to the voters, he said. What he's saying, right now, there are hundreds of billions of dollars flowing out the door of all those programs, ending up in the hands of people who, even under the statute, should not be receiving payments. Trump last month tapped Ramaswamy and Musk to run the new non-governmental efficiency commission. The specifics are murky, but Trump has signaled that he wants to give them authority to cut government bloat. Now, just to give you an idea, we are in a debt crisis. I think that's a big reason they allowed Trump to win, and everybody knows it. The debt is at $36 trillion. We have added as much to the federal debt in the last 4 years as we did in every other year put together. It's unreal. And it's becoming a real problem because as interest rates grow, the interest payment that the federal government makes to service the debt is growing and is now relatively close to as expensive as our military. Interest on the debt is around $700 billion. Military spending is about 800 and some billion dollars, about 850. So it's getting close. And here's the problem. So just so you guys understand, the deficit is the amount of money that the government spends over what it takes in a given year. So if the government brings in $2 trillion, they spend $3 trillion, the deficit's $1 trillion. And the deficit gets added to the debt. The debt is cumulative, just if you don't know. So the debt is $36 trillion. That's the accumulated debt spending, deficit spending over the years. And we have these very high annual deficits, shortfalls in the budget of trillions of dollars. Now the problem is that as the debt grows, we have to pay interest on the debt. When interest rates rise, and when the debt rises, we pay more in interest. We have to pay that annually in cash. We can't borrow money to pay interest on the money we borrowed. So, for example, now the interest is $700 billion. Well, eventually the interest on the debt is going to be bigger than the military, and then maybe bigger than entitlements. And what happens when the money to service the existing debt is equal to or close to or even greater than the amount of money we're taking in? That is the definition of a spiraling debt crisis, and there's not many good options to get out of that. The United States will never default on the debt because we could print more money to pay the debt, but then that creates inflation. People say, well, you print money to pay off your debt, but you pay the debt to treasury note holders. You pay down the interest, and when the note reaches maturity, you're paying it to the people that actually hold the debt. They get that money, and then they get to spend the money. So if you introduce all this new money into the system, and people can then buy stuff with the money, well, there's going to be more money than there is economic development. That is what you call inflation. And the money becomes less valuable. Because goods become scarce, money is plentiful, prices have to go up to reflect scarcity. That's what you call hyperinflation. And we're in this mess because there's existing inflation. We have to raise interest rates because inflation's already high. So this creates a problem where we have to completely reshape the entire economy. And we are interconnected with other countries. We're talking about a global debt meltdown if it gets to that point. So I'm a big believer they let Trump get in because this is the issue. At some point soon, we need to balance the budget. Now, what the Republicans are saying is that we're going to grow the economy. They say that if we grow the economy, then the ratio of debt to GDP will go down. There'll be more economic development relative to debt. And so even though the debt will be higher in absolute numbers, it will be smaller relative to the size of the economy. And that matters because the size of the economy dictates how much money you can tax and then pay down. So you can service a bigger debt with a bigger economy because a bigger economy means more revenue. So they say if we cut taxes, if we unleash American energy, if we do these things, we're going to grow the economy. And that means we could bring in more taxes. And if the economy grows, we bring in more taxes, then the debt becomes manageable. But if you cut taxes, you're also cutting the amount of money that you bring in. So how are you going to pay the debt? They say, well, we'll increase the size of the economy so much it'll offset the lower rate. And, you know, there are some numbers that say that that has been done, and there is a lot of debate about that. For example, they say that in the 1980s, Reagan cut taxes and tax revenue went up. But inflation also went up. And other things also went up. Employment went up, irrespective of the growth of the economy. Women entering the workforce made the economy grow. And so arguably you would have had even more tax revenue if you didn't cut the taxes at all. But it's difficult to say because the economy is complex. Anyway, they're bringing them in. That's their plan. Well, of course, another thing you have to do if you want to pay down the debt is you got to cut the spending. If you want to get the debt under control, you need to bring in more money, which means either raising taxes or the economy grows. And with existing or lower tax rates, you bring in the same or more money. And then on the other side, you got to cut the spending. The deficit is more spending than revenue. So you either need to increase revenue or reduce spending or both. That's where Doge comes in. The role of Doge is to cut the spending. Well, here's the problem. In 2023, the government brought in $4.4 trillion. That's revenue. The government spent more than $6 trillion, $2 trillion deficit. How do we get the deficit under control? Well, $3.8 trillion of that spending was mandatory, meaning you can't touch it. It's going to Medicare, Social Security, Medicaid. You can't touch that money. That's $3.8 trillion in spending compared to $4.4 trillion in revenue. So there's only $600 billion difference between what we're bringing in and what we're spending only on entitlements. The military is $820 billion, and Trump's not going to let Doge touch the military. You add the military to the mandatory spending, that's 4.6. You're already $200 billion in the hole for openers. Then you add on interest. Interest is $700 billion. So now you're at 5.1 trillion. Again, you're bringing in 4.4 trillion. You're at $5.1 trillion in spending between interest, entitlements, which you cannot touch, and the military, which will not be touched. You already have $1 trillion deficit. Then you have other discretionary spending that goes to everything else, that goes to education, energy, that goes to transportation, every other thing. So when Doge comes in and says, well, we're going to fix the debt crisis, we're going to make cuts, but not to entitlements, and certainly not to military, again, you know they're not serious. And so once again, they told us this was the most important election of our lifetimes. They said it would be different. They said Trump learned his lesson. He's going to be our vengeance. They said we're going to finally make America great again. We're finally going to win. But we can't get our own nominees through our own Senate. We can't apparently even vet the nominees that we appoint for the highest level positions because we still don't have a personnel list. We can't even tackle the deficit. Forget about immigration. Forget about terrorists. Forget about the war in Ukraine, where everybody else has a vote. We can't even tackle the deficit. That's like a boring issue that everybody realizes is a problem. They're not even willing to touch the programs that you would need to get it under control. I hate to break it to you, but this administration won't even deliver any kind of relief on the debt, let alone the invasion, let alone World War III, let alone the foreign influence peddling, let alone any of the other problems. What is it even for then? So I'm very skeptical of this administration. Are they going to run it better than Kamala? Sure. Is it going to be a miracle? Are they going to break all the rules? I don't think so. I think it's very obvious, even sitting where we are now, that it's going to be a whole lot of what we saw the first term. And what do I mean by that in particular? Let me be specific. In the first term, we had a ton of personnel that were shitty. Okay, they came from the Bush administration. They came from the other campaigns in the primary. They ran against Trump. They didn't believe in America first. They weren't loyal to the president. They didn't implement his policies. That was a big problem. It's happening all over again. That's Hegseth, that's Bessent, that's Rubio. Rubio literally ran against him. Like case in point, okay? His vice president was a never-Trumper. So his staff doesn't get it. It's the same problem. Let's go further. In the first term, his Republican-controlled Congress did not pass his agenda on the wall, on anything. They pushed the can down the road. They stalled. They wasted time until the midterms, and then they lost, and then it was over. Seems like that's already happening. They're already voicing opposition to mass deportations. They're already opposing 3 of Trump's cabinet appointments. Let's go further. In 2016, Trump said we were going to become friends with Russia. We didn't. We started sending Ukraine lethal aid instead of just non-lethal aid. We deported Russian diplomats. We increased sanctions on Russia. We ripped up the INF treaty with Russia and redeployed missiles to Eastern Europe, which was very provocative. In 2016, Trump said we were going to bring the troops home from the Middle East. We didn't. They remained in Syria. They remained in Iraq and Afghanistan. And we actually did more artillery and more air campaigns than in a very long time. Just like now, they're talking about sending Marines into Gaza to free the hostages, just like now. Mike Waltz says that they're working hand in glove with the Biden administration against Russia and talking about implementing the same policies, letting Ukraine use long-range missiles inside Russia. Same deal. From 2016 to 2020, Trump was a profligate spender. Increased the debt massively and the deficit. Increased military spending, increased all of it. Spent $7 trillion in the first round of COVID stimulus between the Federal Reserve and fiscal policy. Spent $7 trillion by May of 2020 with the stroke of a pen. And they're going to do it all over again. They're going to spend more money just like the first time. So, you know, I don't see anything really getting much better here. If it was going to get better, there would be signs. You would be able to tell. You would be able to tell by the personnel. You'd be able to tell by the allegiance to the president and the party. You'd be able to tell if people are paying attention to the media. There'd be a lot more discussion about what they're going to do. You don't hear any of that. You don't hear about the J6ers. You don't hear about the mass deportations. You don't hear about ending all the wars. We're just not hearing about any of that. So I hope I'm proven wrong, but this is looking like it's not going to be good. And you know what? Maybe this was the necessary outcome. I was thinking, and I said this the other night, I was thinking if Kamala wins, that would be the true accelerationist position because the country would be in free fall, the institutions would be delegitimized, and maybe we could have a real figure rise up that could change the rules, who's actually competent. But now, seeing Trump get hijacked by Elon and Peter Thiel and Vance, maybe it's a good thing that they catch the hot potato. Maybe it's a good thing. Maybe if the meltdown happens on their watch, it'll delegitimize the Democrats and the Republicans. And maybe you really could get a genuine alternative. But that's a little presumptuous. I guess we have to give him a chance. We'll see what happens. But yeah, this is not looking good. Does anybody have a rebuttal? People are coping. They're saying, well, you know, Trump is only picking these bad appointments for some insane reason. It doesn't make any sense. These are just unforced errors. It's just ugly. It's bad. So we'll see what happens, but not looking good. Okay, we're going to move on. We're going to take a look at our super chats. We'll see what you guys have to say about all this. Disappointed, but not surprised. I am not even a little bit surprised. It has come as no shock to me that this is where things have gotten, as you know, because I told you so. I told you that exactly this. I said exactly that this would happen. I told you how it would happen. I said when it would happen. I said, watch, the day after the election, it's going to be Indians, Jews, atheists. It's going to be all cucks. They're going to rug pull you. And that's exactly what happened. So
that is what he said would happen.
All right, but let's take a look. We'll see what you have to say.
Butchstar 1 cent $5. Thoughts on Calvin Robinson?
That's that pastor, right? He seems based. Or he's a priest? I think I know you're talking about. He's been on Twitter posting about the Jews. Pretty based.
Bro Imperior sent $5. Trump's election ensures that even if Daniel Penny is sent to prison, which is likely, the event will fail to radicalize more whites. Nothing changes. Anarchy is still the rule.
It's a very good point. Yeah, Daniel Penny. Let that be a lesson. Never talk to the cops. I mean, look, I feel bad for the guy, but never talk to the fucking cops. Never talk to the cops. Never talk to the cops. Never talk to the cops. When they read you your Miranda rights, do not talk. You speak one word, lawyer. It doesn't matter what they say. Lawyer. Lawyer. That's your only word. If you can't come up with anything, just say lawyer like a fucking idiot. Just keep saying lawyer. You know? That was the mistake he made because they're using it against him. They interrogated him. They brought him in. These fucking asshole cops. They brought him in and they said, hey man, you're a Marine? I was a Marine too. This is what they do. It's their fucking job. They do it all the time. This is what they do. They bring you in. They treat you like you're not a suspect, but that you're a witness. They'll say, hey, you're not in trouble. We're not looking into you. We just want to get your side of the story. That's what they'll say. Those words. We want to get your side of the story. Why don't you come into the station? It's no big deal. They're going to say, we're going to read your rights. Just a formality. Don't listen. They are adversarial. They're there to put you in jail. It's their job. You know? They say about the Miranda rights, they don't go, you have the right to remain silent. Everything you can and say will be used against you or in your favor. It doesn't say that. It says can and will be used against you. Period. That's all it can do. It will never exonerate you. Don't plead your case in front of the cops.
Oh, yes,
plead your case in front of the judge with a lawyer. Plead your case to the jury. Plead your case to the judge with a lawyer. Do not plead your case to the cops. You know, the cops will arrest you. The cops will charge you. You will have your day in court. You will have your trial. Do not defend yourself ever. Do not talk to them. Do never admit anything. So they brought him in and they said, hey man, oh, you're a Marine? And they made small talk and they joked and these are all psychological tricks. This is why it pays to be paranoid like me. This is why it pays to be paranoid and disagreeable and an asshole. Because if you're a fucking dumb idiot, you'll buy that. And you'll go in there and they know what they're doing. Like they think you're an idiot. And they think you're easy, like a whore. And they'll say, hey man, we're buddies. We have things in common. You're a Marine? Oh yeah, me too. That's literally what they said to him. I watched it today. It's like an 8-minute clip. And they asked him about it. They asked him about the events. And he told them what they wanted to hear because I'm sure he thought, I got nothing to hide. I got nothing to fear. I did nothing wrong. I'm a good guy. I'm here to just tell them what's up for their report. No, he was a target. He was a subject. They were after him. And he gave them what they wanted and what they needed to charge him and maybe ultimately convict him. And they got it out of him just by being nice. And he just went in there and told them a story. And now the state is going to use it to prosecute him and convict him. Don't talk. Don't talk to the cops ever. And you don't know what they're going to use against you. So don't say anything. I've been there. I've been there, done that. I don't want to get specific, but, you know, this is what my lawyer said after January excuse me, after January 6th. After January 6th, he said exactly that. He said, don't say anything. He said, you'd be surprised what people say. He said, don't say anything. So that's my message to you. That's my helpful little tip of the day. And you know, that's actually super practical because you never know when you're going to get in legal trouble. And that's something you don't learn unless you learn it the hard way many times. So that's actually a little piece of practical life advice. And ask any lawyer, ask any cop, they'll tell you the same thing. I would tell you some more tricks, but I don't want to jeopardize my own tricks, you know. But yeah, so I feel bad for Daniel Penny, but I saw that today and I was like, damn, dude, that fucking sucks. But that's what they do. And here's the thing. Here's another thing. If the cops can charge you, they will. Okay? The state brings charges when they know they can win, when they're confident they can win. So if they have evidence to get you, if they have evidence to convict you, they will charge you. They will not ask you questions. They will not interrogate you. They will arrest you. If they have a case and they got you, they will bring you in and they will arrest you. And then they will work out a deal, right? Then they'll do a proffer, then they'll do a plea deal, then they'll do something. But if they have a case against you, they will bring you in. They will arrest you, they will charge you. If they don't, then they'll interview you. If they're interested in you, if they're building a case against you, and if they don't really have it yet, if it's not complete, if it's not a good case, then they'll fish. Then that's when they start to shake the apple tree and they start to see what comes out. Then they start paying you a visit. Say, hey, we just want to get your side of the story in the hopes that you'll say something that completes their case, and then they get you. In other words, they'll only talk to you if they need something to nail you. They will only talk to you if they need something because they don't have it yet to nail you. That's another thing. So if you think, oh, they're talking to me, I'm innocent. No, they're interested in you, and they're hoping you're going to give them what they need to complete their case, and they're coming there to get it. That's in their mind. They did it during January 6th to a lot of the J6 defendants. They did it to Vince, I believe, and Bryson, and they show up to their house and they say, hey, man, we don't think you did anything. We agree with you. Hey, man, they all, and I hate them for this because it's such bullshit. Because they really do, that's the irony. People like us actually respect law enforcement. People, and when I say us, I mean conservatives, patriots, taxpayers. We actually have respect and appreciation for law enforcement. And it is us idiots that get treated like suckers by law enforcement. They pray. You know, the blacks want to lynch the cops. White people wear Blue Lives Matter, but it's a Blue Lives Matter knuckleheads that then get suckered. A cop goes there and says, hey, man, I'm conservative too. And you, dummy, with the Blue Lives Matter flag, say, hey, man, you're my best good friend. All right, I'll help you out. I'm a good guy. And that's just fucked up. That's wrong. You should be rewarded for helping law enforcement. You should be rewarded for that. There should be more protections because a lot of people are very simple. Thankfully, you know, when I was at January 6th, I lawyered up right away. You can look him up. My lawyer has a fucking Wikipedia page because that's how I roll. I had a very good attorney, and that was the first thing he told me. You know, when my money disappeared and I started having other problems, I had a very good attorney. But other people did not have an attorney. They got paid a visit, and they talked. And they, you know, some of them, it didn't wind up hurting them, but it could have. You know, I don't think Bryson got charged. I think he talked to them. He can't even talk. Don't even tell him to fuck off. Just don't answer the door. Or if you do, just say, hey, lawyer, I'm not talking to you without a lawyer. Have a nice day. Slam the door. Don't let them talk. Do not let them get, am I being detained? Am I under arrest? No. Have a nice day. Goodbye. So, anyway. So I really feel bad for Daniel Penny. That's the mistake he made, though. And don't be a hero. I mean, it sucks, but it's like, look, in these jurisdictions, you will get fucked. In a blue jurisdiction like New York and Chicago and LA, you will get fucked. Know the law. Walk away. Okay? And I can't comment on pending matters with me, but hey, it's like, take your own advice. Hey, trust. You know, when it comes to, like Daniel Penny, he intervened on the subway. Some black guy was trying to kill everybody. He tackled him. And because the laws protect the criminals, he's going to pay the price, even though he's the good guy. He's the good guy that believed in law enforcement and talked. He's the good guy that protected the innocent, and that is going to get him in jail. And it's fucking horrific and evil, and this government deserves to, it does not deserve legitimacy, let's put it that way, for treating its citizens this way. These abominable fucking animals that don't pay taxes, these dregs of society that are nothing but a drain on resources, these fucking ignorant losers, they don't work, they're not productive, they don't do anything, they're not good citizens, they're predators, they're opportunists. The laws protect them. They have advocates. They have advocates in the judicial system. They have advocates in the political system. It is law-abiding, upstanding, decent people in society that stick up for other people, decent people that believe in law enforcement, that talk, they get fucked in the ass. Someone like Daniel Penny goes and throws this fucking animal to the ground because the cops wouldn't do it, because the politicians won't stand by the cops and let that happen. So Daniel Penny did the job that the cops should have been doing, that they're paid to do, but the cops are told to stand down. Not only does he get penalized, but he's really going to get raped because he trusted the cops and thought they were on his side. And they weren't. And they used his good faith, his faith in the system against him. And that's the society we live in. And it's bullshit. So that's why we need a fucking Hitler. Like that's the kind of thing that when you really think about it, you say, that's why you need a fucking Hitler. That's why you need a Julius Caesar. That's why you need a Joseph Stalin to come in and purge everybody. Because that's just wrong. Anybody understands that is just wrong. The cops know it's wrong. The ones that aren't doing it, I guess. Veterans know that's wrong. Taxpayers know that's wrong. Business owners know that's wrong. Any decent person, you know, black or white, knows that's wrong, knows that's fucked up. And that's why our country's fucked up, because it rewards bad behavior. It rewards criminality, predation, opportunism. It rewards laziness. And that's why our country fucking sucks. Because why would anybody bother? Why would you go and make a fortune if the government's going to take it away? Why would you go and do the right thing if the government's going to arrest you for it? All you do is get screwed, it seems. If you're a patriot, do the right thing, play by the rules, you just get screwed over for some bullshit. It's unbelievable. And, you know, you think about, like, this is a city problem. Look, we have a huge population that lives in the cities. New York, Chicago, LA. Okay, these are huge cities. A lot of people live there. That's a big problem. All the cities, most of the cities are liberal, except for what, like Tulsa, Oklahoma City, Fort Worth, Miami, ironically. Like, all the cities are liberal. And that's where most of the population lives under this kind of tyranny. It's literally anarcho-tyranny. If you're a fucking thug, piece of shit loser, the politicians are looking out for you. It is easier to be a criminal. Like, you will, if you run away from the cops and are on welfare, you will have less trouble from the cops than if you're a law-abiding citizen that gets like a speeding ticket. It's unbelievable. So, anyway. That's my rant. That's my rant for the day. It's so insane what is happening to that guy. Excuse me, totally getting railroaded. And he's just a decent young white guy who, again, he just did the right thing. Same thing with Derek Chauvin and the rest of them, you know? That makes me so mad. It just makes me beside myself. So yeah. So look, the cops are not on your side. They're just not. They're not on your side. They're government employees. You hate the government. They're the government's enforcers. Don't talk to them. Don't talk to them. It doesn't matter. They're going to try and be your friend. They're going to do good cop, bad cop. You know, fuck them. Fuck them, honestly. And that, you know, and look, some cops have been nice to me. Cops have been nice to my family. I've obviously been going through some ordeals lately with, you know, shit going on here. You know what's up. And it's not, obviously there's some cops that are stand up. There's some cops that try to do the right thing. But your attitude towards law enforcement in general, sadly, because this is the way it is, has to be, you know what, fuck them. They're out to get us. The law is out to get us. The state's attorneys are out to get us. And so you can't think these guys are your friend. Their job is to put you in jail. So don't be an idiot. Don't be stupid. They could be your friend with a lawyer in the room. You want to be my good friend? You want to talk about how we're all Marines and whatever the fuck? We could have this nice little conversation with a lawyer present in the room to make sure you're not incriminating yourself. And don't try to do their job either. It's a sad state of affairs, but it's not worth it. And if you do, get away with it. If you do anything like that, get away with it. There's nothing, at this point, the law and morality are not the same, so just forget about that.
Ali Batsi sent $5. How many countries does the Gambia border?
1. Easy. Senegal. That's it. Nice try, dumbass. Nice try, political dumbass. But Gambia, right? Or am I thinking of Guinea-Bissau? Gambia is just on the Gambia River, right? In Senegal? Or am I thinking of Guinea-Bissau? I know they're all connected. But how? Is Gambia just a river? Is that Guinea-Bissau? I totally forget. Don't look at me. Yeah, I think that's what it is, right? I was right! Let me see. Let me just make sure. Yeah, I was right. I should never doubt myself. Yeah, the goat. Geography goat. Nice trick question, dumbass. Nice trick question, stupid. Boom. What up? What up? I see. I knew Guinea-Bissau was right there. But you had me doubting myself a little bit.
What does this one even do?
Chris Burnett sent $5. I'm sorry for slandering you. I love non-white trannies. Baked Alaska is a fid. Milo is a fag. And Martin, captive a Jew, is a pedo. We only attack you to cope with our own insecurities.
It's true.
Truth is, I love the show and watch it every night. PLS, forgive me.
Well, I'm not going to forgive you. Like I said, you're dead to me. It's unforgivable. It's unforgivable. You got to sort yourself out, bucko. You got to make your bed. You got to clean your room. And you got to sort yourself out, bucko. This guy's coming at me because he's like his dad is like some Jewish doctor or something. You got to resolve those issues and stop chasing trannies and DMs. Isn't that ironic? Everybody accuses me of that with which they're guilty. This guy was literally in Pariah the Doll's DMs saying, hey, are you a femboy? Are you a tranny? Are you a girl? I haven't even accepted Pariah the Doll's DMs. Pariah the Doll's DMing me all the time. I don't even accept the DMs. I'm not even in there. I just ignore. But Chris Burnett is in there. He's deep in there. He's deep. He is all up in there, fishing around, looking for stuff. But they accuse me. Pariah the Doll is in their magazine. He goes to their parties. They're in DMs with him. They're flirting with him. I have all the screenshots. Want to see him? They're flirting with him. But I get accused. I stand accused of everything.
He said,
right? I'm the accused man. I'm the most attacked man in the world. Everything they say about me is a lie. Okay? It's unbelievable. But you know what? When you're a goat, that's just how it is. When you're John Wick, everybody wants a piece. Everybody. When you're the John Wick of politics, when you're the John Wick of being a groiper, it's what they do to you. You know, they come after you. So, anyway, it's a sad tale. It's a sad state of affairs. But, you know, the best revenge is that we're watching the game. They're watching us. You know, winners win and losers watch winners. That's the difference. So, you know, our old buddy Chris, he's got to go to therapy or something. I honestly feel bad. He's like a mind-broken freak. The Jews really did a number on him. Kind of crazy.
Hannah sent $5. Favorite Star Wars movie?
Revenge of the Sith, obviously. Or Empire. Empire Strikes Back's kind of goated. The older I get, the more I appreciate it.
Even a Grape sent $10. Stop with the anti-white slander. There aren't any based white people out there really means. There aren't any based white kid streamers. Mark Collett, Jared Taylor, Kevin McDonald, Sam Francis, Pat Buchanan, Keith Woods, Joel Davis, Blair Cottrell, Blackbill, many more. Anyways,
Based.
nice tie.
There's some based white people.
Bro Hyperior sent $100. What are the rules for a clips channel? I have a few clips of you that I was surprised aren't clips. The segment where you use the movie Kick-Ass to explain why sex with women is gay. It's like you cover yourself with a girl piss so they don't get your boy sent and maybe you see them in their panties at the sleepover is fucking hilarious.
I don't remember that one, but thank you for the big super chat. Did I ever say that? I don't think. Did I say that? I don't even remember anymore. I say so much crazy shit on this show. I don't even remember what I said or haven't said. That sounds a little out there even for me, but honestly, it wouldn't surprise me. So, thank you for the big super chat, though. I appreciate it.
$5. Okay. Sam Francis is dead. Point still stands. You tear down whites who are doing activism in a way you don't like. Then say there aren't any based white people. Only way to be based is to have a lifestyle stream. Chin up. Can't always be right.
There are no other based white people besides me. They're all either retarded or Zionists or have some other malfunction. It's just me. It's literally just me and the nigs, and that's it. So, yeah, I wish one of them would emerge. Point me in the direction of one. I'd love to see it. You know, Mark Collette, swastika tattoo, retard. Jared Taylor, I mean, good guy, Zionist. Kevin McDonald, he's pretty based, actually. So maybe you got one. Sam Francis, dead. Pat Buchanan, he's pretty based. But super old. They're both super old. Keith Woods, yeah, he's up there. Okay, sure. But hey, he trusted the science. He's triple boosted, double vaccinated. He's an election believer, you know, like, he's just on the wrong side of history in general. Joel Davis, Blair Cottrell, retard rallies, you know, one's balding. The other one's super Chad, but just, you know, wrong optics, wrong look. Black-pilled, the anonymous guy, who knows? I don't even know if that guy's white. I don't even know him. So yeah, I mean, even your list, you couldn't summon a list of more than like 2 people that are 100 years old. Kevin McDonald's always trash-talking me on the timeline. So yeah, like, sorry, give me some better names. Give me more names. This is brutal. Terrible showing.
$5. How can Biden be based if he's openly a Zionist? Need not be a Jew to be a Zionist.
We don't know what based means, clearly.
George Droid sent $5. Fentbot 9000 Ultra AI with biocompatible hydrocore nanocooling system. MK3 Negro Tech combat protocols. And BBC approved Quandale Dingle journalism feed.
Okay.
50% $10. Never watched it once. Didn't need to because I believe in you. Merry Christmas.
Didn't watch what? Oh.
Jack sent $5. What's this strange phenomenon?
blowjob tape.
After having a falling out with Nick, don't move on with their lives, but instead dedicate all their energy, time, and social media presence solely to hating on Nick. Like damn, get a job or something, nigga.
I don't know, man. I ask myself that all the time. Sometimes. I feel like I'm the only one that happens to. Everybody else, they meet people and become friends with people, and then sometimes they stop being friends with people, and everybody just moves on. Me, it's like people enter my life, and there's no way out other than to just become obsessed with me and just talk about me every day. I don't know why do I create that effect? What causes that? I think people just fall in love with me. Honest to God, I think that's the case. I think people genuinely fall in love with me, and I don't know. It's just Riz. It's just pure Riz. People just fall in love with me, just like seriously and deeply fall hard for me, and they kind of realize that it's not mutual, and they're just utterly destroyed by it and they can't move on. That seems to be it. What else would it be? You know, because my grandmother always used to say, it's a thin line between love and hate. The opposite of love is not hate, it's indifference. If you hate somebody so much, it's actually very similar to loving somebody. You'd only, you know, it's like Ye said, you only kill someone you love. So if they really didn't care, they just like move on, but they hate me as intensely as they loved me. And I don't know how I stop doing that. I mean, how do I stop being a little heartbreaker? How do I stop leaving a trail of broken hearts in my wake? I don't even know. I have to tone down the Riz. How do I, but seriously, it happens more than you know. There's even people obsessed with me that you don't even know. These crash outs, okay, over the years, it's happened many times, and I'm never to blame. I'm never to blame. I'm never the instigator. It's literally always like I don't give someone enough attention, I don't answer their texts. You know, like Andrew Anglin, he just started getting mad at me because I didn't answer his texts. And he was like, hey man, you really gotta like take my advice. What do you think, you do it all yourself? Why don't you take my calls? It's like, dude, stop being clingy. You were my hero, now it's getting a little weird. I did look up to you and read you every day, now you're like texting me way too much. You know? And I was like, and you know, that's always the pattern. It's like somebody, and Mike Cernovich wrote about this, and he's totally right. I don't like Mike Cernovich, but I agree with him on this. He said that when you get famous, people feel entitled to your attention, and when they don't get enough of it, they hate you. And like, that's true. Not even because I'm famous, but influential or whatever. And it is a thing. It's, you know, no one will ever admit it, but it's just true. People think if people don't get enough of your attention, they start to say, huh, he doesn't answer my text anymore. Who the fuck does he think he is? Well, I did this for him. Oh, okay. And then this like resentment cycle starts. And then they start trying to get my attention by being provocative or acting out. It gets the opposite of the desired response. And then they just go further. And it's like, can we all just, I like the friends that I could not talk to for years and they get in town and they're like, hey, I'm in town. It's like, hey, let's go get a sandwich. And that's just how it's supposed to be. But other people, it's like, damn, you better return their fucking texts or they will hate you forever. They will dedicate their life to ruining your life if you don't answer enough of their texts. You know, they will seethe about you. They'll think you're the author of all their problems. Because it cuts both ways. In the same way that, you know, people love recognition and love to be seen and acknowledged, nothing kills a person than when you withdraw that. And I'm so good at it. Sometimes I do it deliberately, sometimes unintentionally. It's my favorite thing to just withhold that. And you just watch how people shrivel up and die. It's honestly, it's a real window into human psychology. You know, if you just ignore somebody, you don't even have to be mean about it. But if you just withdraw acknowledgement, nothing burns people up like that. It's insane. Anyway, so that's why. But yeah, it's crazy, isn't it?
Great Lakes Grow Hyper sent $5. Bashar al-Assad, if you can hear us, please save us. Assad, save us. Defender of Syrian Christians.
So true.
Grow Hyper sent $5. Stannis Baratheon would never be a wife guy. He's an asexual incel in the books.
No, dude, no. But he sent for the Red Witch. He totally cucked out for that woman, for that stupid bitch. He didn't listen to his best friend. If he listened to his best friend, he'd still be alive. So, no, spoiler alert. Hey, spoiler alert. But yeah.
Real Paisan sent $5. Any plans to add subtitles? I try and sneak the show by using headphones, but my girlfriend hears you sometimes. During Yankee season, I could say I was watching them, but now I have no excuse.
Very good. Well done.
Real
Well
Paisan
done,
sent
sir.
$5. Would you vote for Andrew Cuomo over J.D. Vance in 2028? Are you pro or anti-Cuomo? Do you think he's perverted or just Italian? Do you think it was inappropriate when he told that woman he wanted to see her eat the whole sausage?
That was funny. I don't think he was wearing nipple clamps. Remember everybody said he's wearing nipple clamps? I was unconvinced. I thought that was gross. No, he's out, dude. The sexual assault thing, he's out of the game. Maybe I would have voted for him just because he's Italian. It's totally racial.
Schizo Gale sent $5. First Candace Owens and now Brett Cooper apparently. What's up with Daily Wire throwing away big booty Gentiles? Good lord, tired face.
I don't know what's going on with Brett Cooper. I don't know what's going on with her. I wish she would call me. I wish she would hit me up. I wish she would call me and hit me up, tell me what's up. I could hook her up with a little Groiper show. She's always welcome to be on my show. She's always welcome to be on my show, hang out a little bit at the studio, hang some of the Christmas ornaments, little Mrs. Claus action. Little Mrs. Claus type situation. You know what it's about. Yeah. It's a shame what happened to her. They're throwing her out like a dog in the street. I don't even know why. Is it political? I don't know. Is it because she hates Jews? Or did she talk about Jews? Did she support Candace? What's the deal? I'm dying to know. Maybe I'll ask Candace. No, that would be improper. Candace, what's the gossip? That would be improper. That would be minus a million aura. But I really want to know what's going on with her. I wonder if she's based. Do you think she's going based? Probably not. She looks like a cuck.
Sabian sent $5. Nice weather we're having. Pray for Vita.
Always. Pray for this little
65 sent $50.
devil
Another
worshiper.
lobsterman here. I'm late to the concept, but I was enlightened to wife Jack through listening to your show. How are we supposed to raise men in that image? The males who defend it are not men, they're pretending. We're trying to raise our boys right. Keep the flame burning, all will be revealed. Keep your foot on the gas. God bless.
Thank you, man. Always, always. 4 feet on the gas pedal. Well, thank you, man.
1
Another
hour,
lobsterman,
20
huh?
minutes
W
and time for a
lobsterman.
break.
I agree, dude. The wife jack thing is so sad. It's sad how outnumbered we are. There's so many guys promoting it. I think a lot of it's fake.
Murph. We'll get you, Murphy. Oh, nasty. Nasty Murph. Murph. So nasty.
take, but it is crazy how many people are getting tricked. Full Matrix attack. Andrew Tate was right. This is a fucking Matrix attack.
John Drew sent $10. Oh ho, the mistletoe. Hung where you can see. Brett Cooper waits for you. Kiss her once for me.
Imagine, dude, imagine.
John Drew sent $5. Fortnite OG stream Friday on Kick.
Maybe, not a bad idea.
Roy Spool sent $5. When I thought we couldn't get any lower than Jamal and Enrique. You bring up Raj and Gupta. We need Jeff and Karen's.
I know, dude. Raj and Gupta are crazy.
Sheboygan Grow
Crazy
sent $5.
work.
I feel like when we're talking about people that have your back, no one brings up Jake Shields. I've seen him on X multiple times having your back, especially when everyone else was against you during the wife jackets.
True. Yeah, Jake Shields is awesome. He's a fighter. Fighters have a different code. Fighters, you know, I find, generally speaking, at least what I could tell from interviews and even just knowing Jake, they do have like a sense of honor because, I don't know, maybe it's because it's a dangerous sport, maybe because it's really like war, but they do have this lost sense of honor and integrity that you just don't really see anymore. I tend to see that in fighters, so he's really an upstanding guy, totally solid, good dude, and he's a good friend. I consider him a good friend, so he's awesome. Can't say enough nice things about him.
Finding Gully sent $100. I like your little green bear. He's very soothing to look at when you're chatting away. Wanted to go to Panama and relax for the holidays, but we'll donate to Gaza instead. So many shady charities, by the way. Hope all is well.
Thank you. I don't know. The money's not even going to get to him, I feel like. Israel's just going to confiscate that. Thank you for the big super chat. Yeah, the bear's pretty fun, right? I like all the decorations. I think we did a good job this year. We got to get our nativity scene. I got to get it out. It's in storage. This is all new stuff. I got to get the nativity scene and some other odds and ends. But yeah, thank you.
Eternal Troy sent $100. With regards to the push for colorblind meritocracy among the new counter elites, will it be more difficult to push for white identity discursively as dissidents in that kind of environment compared to DEI and explicit anti-white progressivism? How important was that for you when deciding to withdraw support for Trump? Thanks for the show, King. Here's some money.
It's a terrible question. Thank you for the big super chat. What is the point of these questions? Will it be more difficult to push for white identity compared to DEI? What the fuck kind of question is that? We're supposed to measure the difficulty of pushing a far left policy or far right policy? No, that had nothing to do with whether I support Trump or not. It's just a question of, well, you know I don't support Trump. You guys are always trying to sound smart, and then you just come up with a question that really has no point. And the follow-up's a non sequitur, because I said why I don't support Trump because of personnel, Iran, and immigration. I don't really care if he explicitly advocated for white identity if those things were different. So no, it had little to do with it. It had something, but not a lot to do with it. And would pushing white identity be more difficult? Yeah, absolutely.
Pancras sent $20. Thoughts on Kubrick films, and do you have a favorite?
I'm not like a Kubrick super fan. Favorite? Let me think. What are my favorite? So he did. Let me think of the ones that I saw. I saw Full Metal Jacket, The Shining, Apocalypse Now, Eyes Wide Shut, 2001. Never saw Clockwork Orange. I mean, I know the premise. I think I just put it on and fell asleep. What else did he make? Am I missing any big ones? I feel like I'm missing one. Let me see. Oh, and Dr. Strangelove. That would probably be... I think that one might be my favorite. But I'm not really a huge Kubrick fan. I don't love his movies. They're not very, like, rewatchable to me. Like, I would never sit down and rewatch 2001. You know, I'd never sit down and rewatch Doctor Strange. I guess Doctor Strange was pretty old. I'm just not... It's not really my thing. But yeah, I guess maybe Dr. Strangelove. Maybe... Eyes Wide Shut is scary. It's, like, honestly terrifying. Maybe Full Metal Jacket, the first part. It's pretty good. They're a little too challenging. They're a little too disturbing. Like, they're not fun movies. I like Christopher Nolan's because they're really thought-provoking. They're about science, and I like, that's a really gay answer. I like Martin Scorsese movies because they're fun. Those movies are not, like, I don't get a good feeling watching them, you know? Like, I don't put that on when I'm in the mood to have, like, a fun time, so. Not a huge fan.
Red Cooper Grower sent $5. W Bitcoin Lager seating.
Oh, yeah. Bitcoin's been very good to us.
Charlie McCurry sent $10. 5 capitals. Name
Dude,
the country.
really?
1, Paris. 2, Ottawa. 3, Dodoma. 4, In Real Mood. 5, Palantir. W Bitcoin.
Can we just stop? This is like the third geography question. France, Canada. Dodoma is like, what is that? Tanzania or something? The others, I don't know.
Boss Lurker sent $30. I think Sick Like Ginger Ale best show in the world. Thank you.
Never heard that, but thank you.
Cybertruck sent $5. Nick, you need to buy Double Pump, Llama, and Rismas. It will be good for the movement. Trust.
Okay.
Pretty Fly White Guy sent $5. Guess who's back? Just making sure everyone was paying attention. Day 1.
Wow. The streak is over? You did a like 400-day streak and just ended it? That's crazy.
Sophocles sent $10. How the F can you actually care about an insurance provider CEO is beyond me.
You're a fucking loser. If you celebrate that someone dies because they're rich, you're just a fucking loser. You deserve
Kyle Fuller sent $5.
go to hell forever.
BTC hit $100,000 while we were waiting for the show.
I was celebrating.
Catholic Confederate sent $5. I'm pretty sure prenuptial agreements are against Catholic moral teaching.
Is that true? I'll have to ask classical theists about that. But I'm totally gonna get one.
Twofold Media sent.
But if it's against Catholic, but if my priest says no, then I guess I won't. But I definitely intend on doing it.
Twofold Media.
I'm pretty sure you can't protect your assets. I'm pretty sure you have to get raped and adopt black kids. You know, I don't know, guys. I don't know about all this. Some of these traditional Catholics get a little insufferable and unbearable. All of a sudden now we have to adopt black kids and we can't protect our assets and all this other bullshit.
Twofold Media sent $5. Not sure if you saw the Destiny Lauren Southern messages. She told him he has a beautiful mind low. At this point, Lauren needs to just shut down her channel and focus on her own life.
Yeah, I saw
or
that.
marry Destiny and be done with it.
That was last week, dude.
Israel Cardona sent $10. Beaver Johnson, worse than Eric Adams.
Dude, this fucking mayor. Don't even get me started.
F1 Roy present $50. The NY Times hosted its Steelbook Summit today featuring the 42nd president, the world's second richest man, the chairman of the Federal Reserve, and, of course, the host of the sex podcast Call Her Daddy. I enjoyed looking at her very punchable face as she discussed topics such as abortion and her media empire built by the Jewish husband.
I didn't see that.
Ep10 sent $5.
I didn't see
Did you
that.
see
I'll take a
footage of
look.
A10 strafing Assad forces in Syria? Has Jew America finally taken their mask off over there, or did they forget Sam people have cameras?
I didn't see that.
Quandale Dingle sent $5. Not drinking your raw milk isn't very proud of you, Nick. Anyways, love you, my nigga. Hail Q. Surgeon General Bro sent $5. Fuentes, you are pro-Biden pardon. You think the American president should rule like Tony Soprano and not be charged with corruption. Now you are anti-populism?
Yep.
And since the South in the Civil War, when have the rich risked anything for the future?
Hell yeah. Yeah, perfect description of my position. Yep. Since the South in the Civil War, when have the rich risked anything for the future? They risk their lives every day to bring us products and to make our whole world go round. Honestly, without rich people, you would be wiping your ass with a leaf. So, you know, the rich have built the world around us. I thank the rich, and I love the rich. I salute the rich every day because the rich are what make the world go around. If it wasn't for the rich, we would be playing with sticks because the rich are leaders. The rich are leaders, innovators, schemers, doers, dreamers. They organize the masses, and they drive human progress. And without leaders, without the rich, we would be nothing. So, you know, you should actually thank rich people.
Go think a rich person today.
That's just the truth. That's the truth, and you know it. I'm sick of all this anti-rich sentiment because what really is a seething envy. Also, a lot of rich people served in wars. A lot of rich people are self-made. That's another. Well, you know, of course, typical poor losers. They imagine every rich person was born rich. No, some people, actually, most rich people earned their money, and yeah, they fought in wars and they were poor like you. Then they just became rich because they're smarter than you, or they were Jewish, you know, or some other reason. But yeah, I just won't have any of this anti-rich talk. It's just bullshit. I hate it.
Jay Pillar sent $5. Hey Nick, loving the show as always. Quick thought, what about trimming the mustache down a bit? A little trim along with Hugo Boss attire could really sharpen the look. Keep killing it.
Kill yourself.
0#24 cents
Today.
$20. Chris Burnett is not copying your hairstyle. This nigga is so obsessed with you. He wants you to be gay so bad.
I got that vibe. He was really all over me in DMs. Same thing. I stopped answering his DMs. I think he got mad.
Elements 1985 sent $5. Totally disagree on Vance. I see a chat in that photo. Date level alpha. You know
Okay.
family is more race conscious than JD about intermarriage, but the stud.
Thank you.
Matthew Flinders sent $10. What's the capital of us?
Kill yourself.
Jared Osler sent $10. 2 questions. First, what kind of mic do you use? Also, in 24 years
Microphone.
old, married, daughter, and wonder what can I do to instill the right principles you speak of with the modern teachings in a corrupt public and private school system. Is homeschool the only way to go now? Time for all you do. #America1ST.
Oh my goodness, dude. Just send your kids to public school or something.
Halcyon sent $100. Here's the perfect super chat. No message. Winking face.
Thank you for the big super chat. Wow, delicious. Perfect. Take notes, everybody. This is what I expect. Fork over the money. Hold the yap. Extra money, hold the yap. Pay very close attention.
Extra
Oh,
money.
thank you. I
Hold
appreciate it.
$100.
W rich. This is why I love the rich. This is why I love poor people say, here's $2. Now, how should I raise my son? And also, rich people say, here's $100. Thank you so much. That's a rich person's mentality.
Greenwood sent
W
$100.
rich.
I opted off so I could participate in 100 Fortnite for you because I'm loyal.
Wow. WU. Thank you for the big super chat. W job.
And
W
pushing.
Fortnite. W100. Thank you very much. W Fortnite.
HLF Mexican, HLF Palestinian sent
The
$100.
GOAT!
200 per month club. Only real ass niggas know what's up. No message.
From a certified real ass nigga. We love you, buddy. Thank you for the big super chat. We love you, man. I appreciate all the support. You're a goat, family man. Definitely not a wife guy. This is a king. This is a Chad King. This is a Wojak. This is a real nigga Wojak locking in for the set. Thank you. I
Middle
appreciate
American
it.
Radical sent $50. 07.
Thank you for the super
Kid
chat.
Kid sent $7.
07.
I have to call out the time/clock hypnosis on the nervous, timid, fierce writers. The UK and cold white cities are overrun by gay freaks spreading demonic energy, filth and stealing fresh air. Love what you said about emotions. God-given superpowers.
I don't know what any of that means, but thank you.
Stunky1 sent $10. RKD4NJF07.
W.
Woodley
Thank
Woodley sent
you.
$10. What do you think of Ye's bomb music video? I didn't care for the lyrics, but I thought it was very sweet.
I didn't see the music video, but I you know, he kind of, I don't really like the new version of 530 Bomb or, what was the other song he changed? Yeah, but I had to remove those from my Spotify because I didn't really love the changes.
Sophocles sent $10. Trump acting like everything is okay is just like that scene in The Apprentice where he talks about you can never admit defeat. It's sad.
You think?
Libertarian Control Act sent $50. United Health denies more claims than any major provider.
Here we
Delivering
go.
a 16% average. Has a Kafkaesque appeal process for life-saving treatment and had insiders dumping stock before a DOJ investigation became public. How'd you go from what would Hitler do to avaricious scammers had rights to in a week?
You're just like a subhuman, okay? He didn't create the system. And by the way, I'm not defending health insurance as a concept. I'm not defending the company. I'm saying if you were giggling with glee because a guy got shot in the face because he became the CEO of a company a couple of years ago, like there's something wrong with you. That is spiritually leftist. Yeah, I don't really care what the reason is. We're not talking about did he get indicted. We're not talking about is he a good person. We're talking about people that are saying he deserved to get shot in the face because his company is unethical or something like that. Because you are charging that it's unethical. You who knows nothing. And I just think that's pathetic and sad and gross. You know, the same people that say, well, Jesus said you shouldn't be rich. They're saying, oh, we're going to now start going out and killing rich people because they run a company we don't like. They have a Kafka-esque system. So that's the death penalty. That's a death penalty that is given out by a hitman who is clearly hired by another rich person. What is wrong with you people? What the fuck is wrong with this audience?
Anon Mouse sent $10. P25 right now would be closed ranks. Shields up with a war cry, not lying face down in a snowbank somewhere. Instead, we have a Jew smoking a stogie in his lukewarm hot tub hucking darts at the board. Texas Groy for $20.
Yeah.
Do little tech VCs like Elon and Teal want the U.S. to default on its debt? Last year, it seemed like Elon was pushing for it during the debt ceiling crisis. Teal especially seems to want de-dollarization and the government to default on its debt. Vance also voted against raising the debt ceiling. Is there a reason for this?
No, I don't think any of them want a default on the debt. They are trying to replace the currency, but I don't think they're trying to crash the currency to replace it necessarily.
Jacob S. sent $5. I am sophisticated. I am magnificent. I have a nice car, a BMW. I am polite. I am the ultimate gentleman.
All
Chat
facts.
sent $5. Sup, bra? It's been a minute. I've been working on my trans in my BMW. What's up with these guys on Twitter talking about a wife, Jack? My wife just
Okay.
attacked me last night. Probably
Right.
because I bought a Ventus Creed cologne.
Thank you.
Abdul Bosnian sent $100. Great shows always. I can't believe you almost missed the Sarajevo answer last night. I thought it was an easy one since it's where World War I started and where the '84 Olympics were held. We love you, Nick. May God bless you and your family.
Thank you for the big super chat. I appreciate it. Yeah, that was crazy. Very high stakes. I almost got that geography question wrong. Thank you for the big super chat. Love you too, buddy.
Canadian
W.
Festival sent $5. You've been talking about elite theory a lot recently. Have you read The Populist Delusion by Nima Parvati? Great show, big guy.
No, I don't read.
DS
Don't
sent
read.
$50. Good news. Wife Jack coin crashed over 80% from 28 million market cap to 5 million and has only slightly recovered.
We
All
did
those
it.
Twitter cucks bought the top. Also check BTC price.
That's hilarious. I
Native
did.
Warrior Warlord sent $5. Saw a rumor that the Democrat leadership's plan was make Joe resign, Russia quick primary, and bring a new candidate. But Joe fucked them over out of spite by endorsing Kamala in his resignation. Hence why it took Obama/Pelosi so long to endorse her.
Yeah, I heard that too.
Hexagon Broy % $5. Can only solve that by cutting all expenditure to an equilibrium where taxes equals spending. Then you default on the debt rugging bondholders. Holders knew the risks. Too bad. Not the burden of human Americans to pay this. Will Super Saiyan sent $5. Were you ever into versus battle debates of fictional characters? Goku Visu Overman type stuff. As a youth, I ranked up
Very
Thoswan's posts on a
long.
forum for debating character battles.
No. I don't know what that is.
4882 sent $10. Hey Nick, my uncle Brian was the CEO of United Healthcare who died today. I've personally met him several times. People are hating online, but he was a real person with a family and children who now had no father. They were getting lots of threats prior to the assassination. Please pray for them.
Is that real? That was your uncle? I don't know if I believe you, but it is sad.
Hunter Appreciator sent $5. Deja vu, I've just been in this place before.
Yep.
Vermont Bro sent $5. The Trump administration won't deliver relief on the debt or make any positive, significant, lasting change. What past administrations delivered positive, lasting changes, performed miracles, and broke the rules?
I love that. Is that a real question? Last administration to really do something positive?
Oops.
I would say, it's a tough question. Richard Nixon.
Base Millennial sent $5. Great analysis as usual. The GOAT.
Thank you.
Super Saiyan sent $5. McCoo Avengers. Avengers 1 versus Vader and Grievous. 38 but Enjoy Show sent $10. Can you see Trump pardoning Derek Chauvin, or will it just cause cities to burn?
I doubt it. Would be
DS
awesome.
sent
though.
$5. Put away the Aryan instinct to collaborate with law enforcement. Daniel
Yep,
Roach sent
true.
$5. Is it true that Trump announced he will pardon the J6S, or was it just another half his promise?
His spokesperson said they'd look at it on a case-by-case basis, which is the wrong answer.
Soleimani Groy sent $5. Chris Burnett has a wigger face. Leon DeGroy sent $150. Thanks for everything. Nick.
Thank you for the big super chat. I appreciate it. Thank you for the support.
Yo sent $5. Here in NZ, a woman was stabbed to death on a bus near where I live recently by a Maori guy who had a history of screaming death threats at people in public. Lol. Daniel Penny could have prevented it. Livehards are insane.
Yeah.
Oklahoma homophobe sent $10.
True.
Hey, what's up, Nick? My boomer dad watched an interview with you. I can't remember the name of the program, but he was impressed by your wealth of knowledge and insights, and he thought you hilarious as well. He also started dropping red pills. Look what you've done. Lol. God bless you, brother. Full hands.
W. Thank you.
Chad Champion sent $5. Profits from Dollar Jidler.
Jitler.
Tug Block sent $5. Did you see Milo on Prime Time with Alex Stein today? He brought a fake book literally. about
No.
you.
No,
Obsessed
I
much?
don't watch Blaze TV.
Howard sent $50. After your glorious victory in the War of White Jack, I have realized all roads lead back to you. They hate you because power over all of them in this space. Keep being you. We really do need your voice and mind.
That is true. You do need me.
Mohammed Terrify sent $25. Hey brother, DeSantis, Abbott, Newsom are turning a blind eye to teen accident fatalities on their roads. Top 3 states are theirs. 5 to 8 teens a day driver experience is the number 1 cause motor vehicle accidents, are the number 1 killer of ages 13 to 44. Murders. Waiting for iCars is not the answer. They need to be held accountable.
Who does? I don't really know anything about that. What's the problem? People are getting in car
Red Cooper
crashes.
Roy sent $5. Nick, you're basically Sigma Freud with the way you expose psychology of vloggers.
Yeah.
Corlick sent $35. Are you familiar with Emily Eustace? She expressed interest in coming on the show.
Oh, well, if she wants to come on. Yeah, I have a huge platform. Oh, she wants to come on my huge platform? Oh, well, why not? Yeah, she's been around forever. I don't know. Is she friendly? I don't even remember. She's been around for years. I think she was shit-talking me in the beginning, but I don't even remember. It's been a long
You sent
time.
$5. Hodge Twin said David Duke on their podcast. Those niggas really don't give a fuck. Thoughts?
Yeah, David Duke's been making the rounds, man. He was on Jake Shields. Now he's on Hodge Twins. It's kind of funny.
Ali Botsy sent $5. The Gambia question was too easy. Name the 7 countries that end with the letter
Oh
D.
my gosh. No.
Chad Champion sent $5.
Let's do one
What
every
do you
day.
think of the CEO assassination Matrix attack? Was that guy NSA or foreign intelligence? Do you have knowledge from Chuck?
Yeah, Chuck is telling me those were the bad Mormons killing a good Mormon. Because they're allied with Armenia.
Christine Weston Chandler sent $5. Thoughts of Hegseth being replaced by DeSantis?
Yeah, it'd be bad. I mean,
American Nacho sent
they're both
$5.
bad. Thank you.
Esoteric Trifter sent $5.
Okay.
Holocaust Denier sent $5. Nick, they're saying Keith Woods mobs you. They're saying he has more motion than you.
Absolutely not. He got to get some motion on the Substack. Let's get some motion on the content production. What do we have, 2 articles for the month? We got to get some motion going on my Substack. I paid good money for that. Where are my fucking articles? I paid good money for that Substack. Now, where are my articles? I'd like to get some motion on my inbox on Substack, for crying out loud.
Cornuja sent $15. Can the effects of mass immigration ever be reversed in the United States? How do we abort millions?
Oh my gosh. Are
Giles
we in
sent
hell?
$10.
Did I
White
die and go to
House
hell?
Man, they can't be. Not even their wives don't fear them. Alapino Burro sent $5. Can't believe people are bugging you about the hats. Have some patience, guys. But seriously, nigga, where the hell
Oh
is
my
my...
gosh, dude. We live in
Leon DeGroyer sent
hell.
$150. No message.
Wow, thank you for another big super chat. I appreciate it.
Daniel
Thank
sent
you.
$5. Have you seen the Terrifier movies? I like Art the Clown more than Pennywise.
Dude, shut the fuck
Baseline
up.
sent $5. Dude, you gotta rewatch A
Shut the
Clockwork Orange when you have some free
fuck
time. The
up
first half is a lot and slow.
forever.
Almost turned it off.
Shut up, dude. Yeah, thank you for the... Wow, Clockwork Orange. Thanks for the recommendation. Never heard of it before. I didn't know it was critically acclaimed until you recommended it just now. You gotta what? Shut the fuck up. You gotta shut up and never talk to me again. You gotta shut up and rethink your life. What is wrong with you?
Crook Roy sent $5. I appreciate you beyond belief, King.
Thank you.
Anonymous Tipper sent $5. 5 big booms for Stu Peters.
Yeah?
Jack sent $10. Yesterday, you said the Dexter TV show was gay, and I was like, I don't remember it to be gay when I
True.
watched it 10 years ago. Turned out that the new season that came out in 2021 is as woke as it gets. All reviews
Oh
say
my
the games are
gosh.
ruined. How the fuck did you know without even watching it?
A woke TV show? Well, that's not cool. Yeah, that's
CDM
crazy.
DVD sent $5.
That's insane.
Nick, are there any videos where you explain what compelled you to be Christian? As you may know, most philosophers are atheists, high IQ individuals. I question your reasoning and I'm eager to hear it.
We're in hell.
Ass Idiot sent $5. Stanley Kubrick
Oh,
didn't
you're
direct
right.
Apocalypse, now dumbass.
You're right. I'm thinking of Full Metal Jacket. It's Francis Ford Coppola directed Apocalypse. Okay, there's 100 Vietnam movies. They're all the same. Relax.
Ass Idiot. Jared Osler sent $5. Thoughts on the mines? Base Crochet sent $7. You've been looking skinny lately. Sergey Lewis sent $20. I've noticed some of these Trump shills are gradually commenting less on the future admin and the cabinet picks. Lomé is talking about base diversity.
Yeah.
The right is cooked.
Because they
07.
know it's over. It's on to the next. It's crazy.
The Black Row sent $25. The world is a better place with you in it, man. Never forget that. Enjoy the rest of your week.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it, my nigga. You too. You as well, my brother.
John Day Irving sent $151. And Nick, how many of your donors are Jewish? Kind of makes me think of what you were really doing at Charlottesville.
Well, what is the demographics of Qatar? It's got to. I think there's some Jews that live there. Thank you for the big super chat. One of my Jewish super chatters, John Dave Irving from Boca. Oh yeah, me and John, we go way back. Don't worry, guys. He's one of the good ones. He's one of the good ones. He's pro-Israel. He's not like those liberals. He's not like those liberal Jews that never go to temple. He's one of the good ones, guys. Relax. Now, thank you for the big super chat. My Michelin friend. I really appreciate it. Wow, thank you for being my mentor and teaching me everything. I really appreciate it.
Croy sent $5. Good to see David Duke get out from the shadows with interviews with Jake Shields and now Hodged wins. My family is from Louisiana, and if you say the name, it's like Hitler. Good guy.
In a good way?
P-Man sent $5. Which country's territory is geographically closest to the North
Oh
Pole, but
my
is not part of the Arctic
dude.
Circle?
I don't know, dude. Canada, Norway, Iceland, Russia. I don't know, dude. What?
P-Man sent... DS sent $5. Is rape worse than murder?
No.
Cornuja sent $5. You're a bitch, you Mexican fuck.
Whoa.
Christine in Ohio sent $5. Help me understand. I watched yesterday's show twice, and you said you were a Democrat operative. Made a deal with Biden to fool us for 2 years. I sent $200 plus a month, and you never said it's a joke. Help
Is
me
this
understand.
real? Yeah, it was not a joke. I had my fingers crossed the whole time. I'm joking, but come on. Are we serious? Do you watch this show, or is this even real? How is this even possible at this point in time? Are you seriously, do you watch this show? Are you panicking because I didn't say, just kidding, when I said, yeah, my mission was to distract you from the laptop from hell? And because I refrained from saying, just joking, you guys, thought it was real? Like, what happened? What is going on? Is 5G just melting all of your brains? Sheesh, that must not be real. That's got to just be fake. That can't be real. I know Christine would never say that. I would not make a Polish joke about that either. I would not make a Polish joke either out of it. I know that's not the real Christine. Christine would never send that. All right, but man, it's doing a number on me. These super chats are crazy. I don't know what's wrong with you people. Okay, well, that's it. That's all I got for you. I've had enough. I've had enough of that. I'm good, okay? That's going to do it for me. Sheesh. What the hell? Remember to smash the follow button on Rumble. I'm on the air Monday through Friday at 8 o'clock Central, as always. Thanks for watching. Thank you to our top super chatters tonight, Leon de Groiper. Special thanks to him. John Dave Irving, Bass Crocheter. Groiperior, Finding Kelly, Eternal Groiper, Halcyon, Greekoid, half Mexican, half Palestinian, and Abdullah Bosnian. Big thanks to all of them. Thanks to our top super chatters, everybody that watches the show. We love you. I'll see you tomorrow. Until then, have a great rest of your evening.
Americanism, not globalism, will be our credo. It's going to be only America first. America first. The American people will come first once again. With respect, the respect that we deserve. From this day forward, it's going to be only America first.
I need a bunch
America
of
first.
compasses. Compi. I need compies, and then I need... I finished
Cunningham.
pressure, I finished heat. I don't even
Must
need
the
to worry
flannel,
about
the
it.
beard.
The Black Row I percent $20. Looking good tonight, King. Very brawny paper.
And then... Who's even live right now? Lasan talking about gay shit as always.
Cat's out of the bag. People feel this way. And better yet, people were not even remotely afraid of saying that they feel this way. I'm seeing my mom's suburban middle-aged mom friends post stuff like, I hope more of them die. What is even happening, Lamau? By middle-aged, I mean people in their 50s. I am a mom, not a teenager. Also, I didn't expect this to blow up. My mother died of cancer in 2022. She didn't have insurance, and it had spread to her whole body when she found out in an emergency room less than a year before she died.
See, this is bullshit right here. This is what I need. The insect spreader rocket. How close am I to that? 17. I need double the biomass.
They took down their page
Gas extract.
of their healthcare, their board of
Oh,
directors.
it's tier 2. Oh,
No
probably
way.
lower. Yeah. Oh yeah, I never looked up what I need for outdoor farm. Oh, the bee larva. Oh yeah, I gotta go find the larva. Rare larva. What else is there?
This is what we warned you about. Far leftists are
Make a
fucking
drone
unhinged and
station, I
dangerous.
guess.
Great. This right here, I
Let it
think,
float around.
is playing itself out in exactly the way I predicted the campaign would play itself out. Republicans' natural position is licking the boot. The Republican natural position is being servile to corporate interests. So in a moment where people maybe go a little out of hand, okay, surely this is not simply just being anti-corporate or anti-capitalist. I'm saying it's definitely taking it one step further. Having said that, however, they immediately reveal their true positions. Okay? When you're a guy who's a Tim Pool fan and you're like, man, this shit's actually pretty dope. And you hear Tim Pool go,